Hello, and welcome to another episode of the Christian Reeve podcast. But really, it's not just another episode. This is a special episode. It's the 35th episode of the Christian Reeve podcast. And it's also finally the opportunity that I've been trying to get for ages to get my friend Childish Jacko on the podcast. Now, you may not know this actually, but before I introduce you, I've been trying to get you on here for a long time. You've been very busy. There's various reasons for that, which we'll get into. But before I did this podcast, obviously some people who listen to the podcast or just follow my YouTube may know that I was part of a podcast called the TCJ podcast beforehand, which I did with Childish Jacko and my other friend, Aaron Wise, otherwise known as Trial by Fire. Now, we did that for a couple of episodes. It went down well. We had good chemistry and stuff. But we were friends actually before that. But we've all been sort of online friends. So we've all basically got this history together. Me and Childish Jacko have collabed quite a lot before we even did podcasting. So there's a lot of stuff there. But this is actually the first time that I've ever kind of properly, I suppose, interviewed like one of my friends. So this is going to be kind of interesting now. And because it's kind of like formal, but not formal, if you know what I mean.
Yeah.
But let's introduce you. So basically, you're a YouTuber, but more importantly, you're like a sneaker enthusiast or a sneakerhead. There's different ways you can call this. But it's a big part of who you are. And yeah, basically, before anything else, welcome to the show. How you doing?
Thank you for having me. That's great. Yeah, no, it's weird. Like if people don't know like the background behind this, it's really strange to be talking to you again. And one thing I've just realised as well, out of all that time, I've never spoken to you. I've never seen you while I've been talking to you. I've never video called you as well, which is really strange because I've known you for like literally probably a year now, surely.
Yeah, that's okay. Let's talk about a little bit about that, how we met first before we get into anything, because I think it's kind of cool and also very current of like what's happening in the world right now. Because me and you met on Reddit, and this was when I was first kind of, because I really started my YouTube last year sometime. I can't remember exactly when, but it doesn't matter. But
You were making a comeback, am I right? You were making sort of like a comeback.
Well, I never really did YouTube properly, like how I do it now. Like I never really gave it full effort because, to be honest, I just never had any good ideas. Apart from like music now and again. But anyway, but last year was like, I'm going to do this serious. And I think every YouTuber that ever starts, when they first start, they do that really annoying thing where they do like sub for sub in and, you know, just trying to get everyone that they can possibly find. And like, when you think about it logically, it's illogical. So like me and you met in subreddits and me and you were doing the exact same thing of like posting on all these subreddits. Although your strategy was a little bit different because you have always kind of labeled yourself as like a niche YouTuber. You're targeting that, targeting that sneaker world, and you've always stuck to that from the very beginning that I met you. You've always been like, that's your focus. But you did do the same thing as I was doing initially a little bit, but you kind of sort of took me under your wing and you're like, hey, so I'm kind of doing this thing where I'm trying to build a community of people. And I was like, okay, well that sounds way more logical. And you basically said, don't do sub for subs because it doesn't work.
I think the sort of background to that, I think I realized quite early on that the sort of like not talking, not interacting, just, you know, like this, I'll like this, sub this, I'll sub this and stuff. I think we both sort of realized quite early on that wouldn't really work, and I just wanted to try something. And I mean, I still believe it has worked and it will continue to work. Just actually making real friends. Like, even though we've tried certain things like the reactions and the TCJ and everything. We've tried things, and you know, I think they worked out quite well. But obviously they stopped for various reasons. But I just still think that if me, you, and Aaron Trial by Fire hadn't, you know, have formed that group, you wouldn't know certain people. Maybe I wouldn't know your friend Dutch Dylan is his name.
Dylan, yeah. But I
Dylan,
just call him Dills. I just weird.
Yeah, Dills. I wouldn't know him. He wouldn't know me. There's certain other people that, and I think we all especially over that time, maybe not so much recently, because obviously Aaron's gone off and done his own thing, and there's been sort of limited communication between me and you. I think
Well, let's dive
we've
into that. Let's go into it. I mean, because I was going to ask you some stuff beforehand, but like since we're talking about it now, obviously we know that Aaron was always basically Aaron in his trade is a VFX artist, which I know very little about, and I always wanted to ask him about. I still want to ask him about it.
yeah,
Eventually, I
that'll be an
will.
interesting conversation, definitely,
Yeah,
to
yeah.
get
One day I
him
want to
on
have
there
him
and
on the
doing that.
podcast and like just rack his brains for everything that me and you have wanted to know for ages. Plus, obviously, what he's doing now, because he very recently joined Vidas Games and he's doing games development, and that's what he ultimately wanted to do. And he was very, like, you know, like straightforward with it. Like he just said, "Yeah, I'm just not really feeling the podcast anymore." And I'm like, oh, "Fair enough.
Yeah,
If you're not feeling it, you're not feeling it, right?" But I was kind of, I'll be honest, I was kind of surprised when you weren't interested in doing the podcast anymore, because I was kind of thinking like me and you could continue it or do something with it. And at the time I was a bit bummed, but I was like, well, what can you do? Do you know what I mean? Like, I think the thing for
yeah.
me that I was more gutted about was just that me and you weren't like talking for a long time. And I wondered,
Yeah, no, I must admit, it's not as much to do with that as it is to do with like at around that time, I went for a funny phase, and I think even though like I did enjoy doing that with you guys and stuff, I just feel like a few things mixed up. Say, you know, doing like hours upon hours of editing of those, and
yeah,
like
yeah, yeah,
maybe the fact that all of our conversation was simply over like actual text message, rather than we didn't even call, other than when we
that's true.
like recorded, we didn't even call. So I just feel like I don't know about you guys. I don't know if this played into it with Aaron as well, but I was feeling stressed out about it, even though
Oh, is it?
it wasn't that big of a deal at the time, you know, like
Yeah.
no one really like, obviously there were a few people, but nobody really like would have minded if we missed a week or something. Realistically, no one would have, but it was just that at the time I was going through some personal stuff that was getting on that
Mm.
was getting on my nerves a bit. And then I'm sure you can even tell just from my personal stuff. I think from an overload just in that little bit of time,
Mm.
it sort of knocked me off course for all the stuff I was doing, or just on my own
Yeah.
as well. I sort
Hmm.
of had a bit of a burnout, which I just thought it's not a healthy thing to do, and I just needed to sit back and sort of work on myself and stuff. I've the amount of changes I've been through since that time, though, like
Yeah.
just in my personal life and stuff. We can go into it a little bit, but I'm not gonna um,
No, no,
give it
you
all up. At once.
listen, you don't have to.
I'm not gonna give it up at once. But
It's your personal life.
yeah,
Like I'm not going to probe anyway because I don't think it's really relevant. And like why the reason
yeah,
that I bring it up, right, is that I there was always a bit of confusion on my part. But being that I'm at your friend as well, I was always more concerned with like your well-being, because at first I was like,
yeah,
you know, different things go through your mind. Like there's obviously the first thing of like, did I do something wrong? Is it a personal thing? And then after some time, I realized, okay, because I remember one of your reasons was that you said you wanted to focus on yourself and like your channel, which I took as like, oh, he just wants to get back into doing, yeah, being Childish Jacko, doing what you do, right? Which I totally
yeah,
understand. As you said, you were doing crazy editing for the podcast, which meant that your channel kind of took a backseat,
mm,
and that was unfair on you. And the only reason I was able to keep doing what I was doing, plus the podcast, is just that I just have a ridiculous amount of time and I'm a bit insane. And then with Aaron, it's a bit more like, you know, he has a family, he has that different things. So it's even tougher for him to get videos out as well. But
yeah.
point being, there was a lot of pressure put on you, which I get. And then, as
Yeah,
you
no,
said,
and that's the reason why I say like it was mostly to do with personal stuff and my own. It was nothing to do with you or anything that
nah,
Aaron had
yeah,
done.
I figured
It
that.
was just it was just I don't know. I lost interest in it for a split second, and then I
Yeah.
just couldn't get back. I've only just recently really felt like Childish Jacko again,
Yeah,
if that makes sense.
this is the
Yeah,
interesting
which I'm
thing.
sure people will actually see if you go through right now. Like,
Yeah.
it's been very slow from me, like recently, just because I think still building off of what happened to me and happened to Childish Jacko, both sides of me. There were things that happened, and then now I'm back. You know what I'm saying? Like, I feel like this is a new start and everything, and I'm glad that I'm talking to you again. But it was
Yeah, me
nothing to
too.
do with you, nothing to do with Aaron. It's cool. We're back.
You know I love you, man. Come on. Anyway, yeah, no, actually, that's one thing I want to wrap the bow on that actually with is that I did notice that because you never stopped posting entirely. Well, you did what you said. You took a break, and then this is like immediately after the podcast, and then you dropped like one or two, and to me it kind of seemed like, oh, he's dipping his foot in the water, but he's like not too sure. And then, as
Yeah.
you said, I don't know, I can't pinpoint the exact time, but there was a point where it's like, all right, he's back. Like, boom, 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 boom.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
I,
I would even say only the past like few weeks or so, like I've really been feeling really
okay,
motivated to do that. I know I've
hmm,
done things earlier than that, but it's just like I've just been really stuck, and
fair
yeah,
play.
and I don't believe in like just doing stuff that you don't like want to do or don't believe in. You know, I could have easily
Yeah,
just sat here and just been like, "Hello, this is the new Jordan that's coming out next week." I could have easily just done that, and everyone would have been bored out of their minds.
yeah.
But I just wanted to make sure I put 110% into it, so I
Do
had to
you
give
know,
myself that time.
that's interesting actually that you mentioned that because that's somewhere that we really do share like a similarity because I'm exactly the same. Like, I know I pump out a lot of content and stuff, and a lot of that is just chance. Like, it's always like, if I have an idea, I put it out. You know, I work hard when something like, okay, if a podcast comes, you get a lot of content out of that. You get clips, you get whatever, right? But you know,
Yeah,
there are times when I don't have anything, and but more importantly, with what we're talking about, there's that feeling of, oh, I'm just not feeling it. Like I feel like depressed, or yeah, because I have those days as well, man. I've had some times, some months where it's been like pretty bad, and the last thing I want to do is make content for the internet and people, and
yeah,
yeah, so I totally get that. Like it's the same when I do streaming as well. So I think that you want to come out and give as you said, like 110%. You want to be like, this is me,
yeah.
and you can't do that if you're feeling like depressed or if you've got your own battles and stuff. And
I just didn't want to put something out that I would regret, like that I wouldn't be proud of. So I just thought it'd be best for me to, you know, work on yourself and then hopefully bring some of that positivity back out into the world, which is what I always want to do. And I feel like even like putting TCJ aside and stuff, maybe some of the things that I was doing before that I wasn't really enjoying overly as well. So like say like and mad respect to anyone who does do this, but like you may have noticed, other people may have noticed, I've sort of steered away from just like, again, this Jordan is coming out next week, and make sure you catch it on this, and it's
okay,
that's great, and I do that, like I do that
you've never done
occasionally.
that.
No. Listen,
You've
I do
never
do
done
that
that.
occasionally. I like zoom in, I focus on something that's like coming out soon or something like that that I actually care about. But there are a lot of people that just like their whole thing is just, oh my god, this is coming out this week, this is coming out this week, and it's just
Oh, I
naming
see.
them
Sorry.
dates and
So
stuff.
you're not talking about because I thought you meant your enthusiasm. You're talking specifically about doing the release videos where you're just so you wanted to steer away from doing those release videos, is what you mean?
I wanted to be more creative. I
Oh,
always tried to be more creative, and then I think I got stuck into a bit of a sort of cycle of just saying, "Oh, this is here," and you know they're all banging every time. So I just thought I might as well just keep doing this. But I think that also contributed
ah.
to it as well, because I wasn't being honest with myself about, do I actually care about this and stuff, which I know is hypocritical, because all through that time I was probably telling you, don't talk about stuff you don't care about. But
Well, that's
yeah, I
something I've
just,
learned from
yeah,
you, actually. If
yeah,
anything, like a lot of you've given me a lot of advice over the time I've been doing this properly for the last year and a half, and I've really taken it, especially when because the two main things I've gotten from you are, yeah, do what you love and only what you love. And I've done some experiments that, like, I'll be honest, I've done reaction videos, and when I did them for you for your channel, that was fun. But when I did them
yeah,
for my channel, and I saw the whole process of having to edit it and everything, only for it to then get like claimed or, you know, not the video doesn't do well or something. I was like, oh, what's the point? But the only time I ever really like enjoyed it was either on your channel or this one time I did like a reaction video to my old metal band from many, many years ago. And like that made sense because it's like, okay, this is something I'm passionate about. This is fun. And it's like, it's such a simple concept. But with YouTube, it's like you said, you get caught with the numbers sometimes and you think, oh, this banged, I should do something like that. But you don't want to get caught in that circle because then you just end up doing stuff you don't want or like.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, no, I've definitely focused more on, trying to be more creative with what I do. Like, I don't know, even the past like 2 or 3 or 4 releases hopefully have been completely different to what I've ever done before, which is just,
We'll get to this. It's very good stuff. Can't wait to
none
talk
of
about
them
this.
have been, um and much to do with each other. None of them have really done amazingly, but I'm sure you can tell I've really enjoyed doing those, and that's just what I'm going to keep doing. That's it at the end of the day. So
Do I think it's
yeah,
that reverse, I don't know if this is the right way to put it, but it's like, if you're enjoying it more, then the content will be better anyway. And then
yeah,
it kind of will do better eventually. It might not do like brilliantly straight away, but after some, like, okay, if you take, I don't know, my podcast as an example, yeah, like obviously when it first starts, it's not getting many views. Even to this day, I don't get like tons and tons of views or anything, but certain things here and there seems to be like a growing audience. There's more positive feedback, blah, 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 right? And I do attribute a lot of that down to the fact that, there's like a format there and it's like, I really enjoy it. Like I got really excited, obviously, to do this podcast, right? Because it's like, not only is it, a special one, it's the 35th, but it's an opportunity to speak with a friend. So it's a slightly different dynamic. And for me, this podcast is really fun with the interviews because it's like, I never know what to expect. I always come in with the same attitude. Like I have my research on you here. It's all written down like I always
yeah,
do. But it's like, it's always different. It's never the same, which I think
yeah,
is incredible. And I think that's kind of part of the key of it, isn't it? You want to always keep the content that you're putting out exciting and fun and different. And because it's not really, I know they say, you should be making content for your audience, and that is true, but it is for yourself. Like, otherwise
mm.
you wouldn't do it. Do you know what I mean? Like, it should be for you. It should be what you enjoy and what you're
Yeah.
passionate about.
You've got to love the process of doing it rather than the end result. That's what I've realized. You've got to,
Yeah.
if you don't enjoy doing it, even if no one's looking at it, then there's no point. You're not gonna enjoy it anymore when people do look at it. Like it's just a cycle. Like they won't like it as much. Less people will watch it, and then you'll enjoy it less. So you might as well just stick to what you like, and it will just go from there. Really.
Let's get into the questions, man. Let's start the interview.
Okay.
Let's go for it.
I'm a little bit nervous.
Don't be. It's fine. Relax. It's cool. It's fun. What's the story behind your name? Because, all right, obviously, first thing I thought was Childish Gambino, right? But I feel like there is more of a story behind this. Sometimes I wonder, like, why you didn't go by your main name. You're very cautious. I've always noticed this about protecting your brand and like. So, for example, I know you have like a full-time job away from YouTube and stuff, and I think I've heard you say it before that like one day you'd like this to be, your living kind of thing.
Yeah.
But you're obviously very conscientious of like, you don't want to put anything out that's, dodgy or would affect your employment and stuff. And I get that. Like, I think everyone is conscientious of that if they're still, they got that daytime living, they're trying to support themselves. And, obviously YouTube is the grind. Like, you never know. It could take 1 year, it could take 5 years, 10 years. You have no idea. So you got to think about A first before B. But
Yeah.
I feel like with your name and your brand, there's something more behind this. Talk to us a little bit about that.
Okay. Well, first off, with the sort of not being controversial and stuff. It's not so much to do with avoiding trouble. It's more to do with not letting any doors close. If you get what I mean. Like I'm
Okay.
always in. Not that I want to say anything outrageous, like not that I have any views that are gonna like upset people, but
Yeah.
I just think it's important. I want to have every experience I possibly can in life. I've got a great daytime job that I do. I really love doing this and everything. So I just want to make sure that I'm, living to the best that I can be, whatever path I may go down. I have many different things that I've started this year that I could possibly do, could possibly branch out into. So I just want to make sure that I have the opportunity to do all of those things and just I just don't want to waste. I don't want to regret something that's pretty much it. But obviously I'm not out here just like pretending to not be a Nazi or something. Like I'm sure, like, there is nothing to hide, but it's just like I like to keep my things in their separate sort of locations and work on them separately.
Fair enough.
And one thing I will say as well, from having a previous channel, is when you ask, say like family members, friends, people from your work, school and stuff, when you say, "Oh, subscribe to me, look at this and stuff," you begin to get like fake numbers, like say like, "Oh, my parents and everything, they all watch and stuff," right?
Right.
So say they all watch and everything. They're watching because you're their son, right?
Right.
They're not watching because like they want to see like the Jordan brand or the Call of Duty video. They're watching. Do you understand what I'm saying?
Yeah, I do get it. Yeah, but
Like
okay,
when your
yeah, fair
school
enough.
friends, like,
Yeah.
do you know what I'm saying though? Like when you get real life people involved, it begins to generate more like sympathy sort of views. I don't know if that's the right word. Do you get what I'm saying though? Do you get what I'm saying?
So, like, what you mean is like you could put out what you deem as like trash, and like your parents would be like, "Oh, it's
That's
great,"
brilliant. Yeah.
and you're like,
Yeah. Yeah.
tell the truth, and they're like, "No, it's great, son," and you're like, "Oh, no,
I'm
they're
not
not telling
saying
the
they're
truth."
lying. I'm not saying anyone's lying to anyone. All I'm saying is like I could send I could send my stuff out to, like 100 people that I know throughout my life or something.
Okay.
And that'd be simple, you know what I mean? You could do that as well. We could be simple, but sending it to 100 individual people isn't really getting an accurate reading of your success, is it?
It's funny that you say this as well, because I think it does vary on your network and stuff. Because, for instance, my Facebook, I have a Facebook page, right? And then I share from my Facebook page onto my Facebook profile, right? And my Facebook profile is private, but it's only got friends and family. And I'm not calling anyone out. I'm not trying to start anything, but there's very little interest from family, friend. I think very recently, maybe my mum started watching some of my podcasts because they are on Facebook. But I think mostly my family and friends just ignore what I do, or maybe they don't see it even because Facebook is terrible at showing
Mm.
stuff. But
And I think that is the best thing for you, to be honest. The fact that they don't.
yeah,
No, it's not saying
you're
like they
probably right.
shouldn't, but it's the best thing for you because you know that the people that are finding it are, you know, more
Yeah.
legitimate people. That is my main point, is that sending it to people you already know from work and school and stuff is it's not really a legitimate. It's almost in the sort of sub for sub kind of
Hmm.
category, if you get what I mean. You're like, "Oh well, I sat next to you in maths, so can you like this video?" Do you get what I'm saying, right?
Yeah, I just love the way you put it. Yeah, I get what you mean. Yeah, no, that's
Yeah,
that's a
so
fair
it's just like,
point. That's a fair point.
yeah, so I just think a stranger doing that is worth much more than someone that you know in real life doing that.
Mm.
So
Yeah,
I wanted to sort of grow it more organically than sort of giving it out to people I knew in real life. Anyway, do you understand that? I don't want to offend anyone. That's just the way I think about it. But
no one's
yeah,
getting offended. That's really cool to
okay,
know. Actually, I didn't know that that you thought that way about it, and you make some really good points. To be fair. Um,
okay. So the name, right? You want to know about
yeah,
the name?
yeah. The name. We want to know the name of the story.
Okay, so it actually links directly to like um any sort of creative output I've ever had pretty much in my life.
Okay.
Jacko has been something like, not that people have called it to my face, but it's been sort of like my username, sort of nickname that I've always had. Like, I've always given that to myself, and there has been periods of time when people have called me that and stuff. So my first ever channel was actually one called Jackosaurus,
Okay, yeah.
like Jackosaurus, like the dinosaur Jackosaurus. I was literally like probably like 8 at the time or something,
Right.
right? And that shows how young I am as well. That I was 8, and everything was out. But I started with doing some like Lego animations, like stop motion and stuff,
Oh,
because
cool.
I've always been into like filmmaking, animation, and everything. I told Aaron when he said he was a CGI artist or whatever, I said like, oh, that's amazing. Like, I've always wanted to do something like that. So I've always been into like animation and stuff. So that was sort of my first ever creative thing. I learned some skills through that, even at that young of an age, and obviously developed through there. And then obviously as I got older, I sort of dropped the Saurus off Jackosaurus pretty much. And then my Xbox gamer tag was Jacko. Um, and then and that was just on there. Like, this was when like no one pretty much called me by that name. And then there was one game on, I believe it was Black Ops 2.
Okay.
And there was this, I can't remember if he was like French or something, but me and my friend had, you know when you used to trap people with the riot shields in the corner.
Yeah.
Do you play much Call of Duty? You know the riot shields on multiplayer.
Yeah.
I used to we used to trap one of our teammates, like get like like round them up like a sheepdog,
Yeah.
and trap him in the corner like the whole game. Literally just hold him up against the wall with the riot shield, and he was in the mic in the Xbox headset party chat going, Jacko, Jacko, literally screaming at me, oh fucking Jacko, Jacko, screaming at me the whole time. And then for I'd say like maybe a year of school, that story kind of got around, and
Yeah.
whenever I'd go into a class or something, everyone would go, Jacko, Jacko. So that's where it kind of stuck, I'd say. Before that, it was just something that I gave myself, and then I don't know, it got spread out into the wider sort of notice when people started calling me that. And then so then Childish Gambino then led to Childish Jacko, basically. And then Jacko is just the name that I've always had pretty much since like 7 or 8. So yeah.
Man, I was not expecting that. Fair play. I'm glad I asked.
It's quite a lot. It's a lot of lore, isn't it? It's a lot of backstory.
No, it's cool. It's cool. I
Yeah.
mean, here's me like, this is why you should never assume things in life, because I just assumed it was from the singer, and you just, and it's a cool name as well, to be honest.
Mm.
And also, just on a side note, like, it is you. Do you know what I mean? Like, I can't imagine, like, if I'm not gonna say if, when I meet you in real life, I can't imagine calling you Jack. That would just feel weird. It's probably, you're probably always going to be Jacko. Like,
it fits really well, I'd say. Like,
yeah.
it fits incredibly well. So,
nice one.
Yeah, so I pretty much owe everything to this French guy in Black Ops 2.
Merci.
For getting
French.
trolled. Yeah.
No, not was it? Merci. No, is that right? Merci. That's how they say thanks.
Merci, I think it is. Yeah.
Merci.
I think so. What's that? What's merci?
Merci. Like thanks.
Thank you. Yeah, thank you. Sorry. Yeah,
Merci
I'm
beaucoup.
so bad at languages. I didn't pay any attention in school.
Yeah, I was pretty lazy when it came to languages at school. But anyway. When did you get into sneakers? I'm really interested about this, because I think that like a lot of boys growing up, particularly in the UK, I know I was always into sneakers and stuff, but I was always more into kind of like, because I grew up playing football and stuff, so it was like, this would be way before your time, but there was these things called Total 90s, which were like football shoes you'd use, like if you're playing for, I don't know what they're called, like when, not studs, but the other ones with like
AstroTurf.
Yeah.
Like
Those.
on like harder ground, not mud.
Precisely, yeah. So I grew up using those, and then gradually, when I became a teenager, I started, funnily enough, wearing the sort of trainers that you wear. Like, probably not as nice, but like but sort of basketball
Yeah.
style one. Like there was a time, I think I've told you about the scene kids thing, right?
Yeah. We've had that. We've had that
Yeah.
conversation. Seeing kids. Yeah.
So a big thing about that was that like we'd have all this like, you know, it was a weird amalgamation of like emo and mainstream and everything, whatever. But we would always wear like flat caps and those kind of basketball style shoes. And there was so many different types, and they were really colorful and stuff. And I've never told you this actually, but I had a couple of friends up in London who were sneaker enthusiasts, and they had like tons. And one of them in particular, his name was Isaac, and he had like boxes upon boxes upon boxes of these. And I was like amazed by this. I was like, what do you mean you have like, do you wear them? And he's like, some of them. And I'm like, so what? They just sit there. And he's like, well, I'm just really enthusiastic about it. And I never got it until I started collecting stuff of my own. Like, so like my weird thing, I have it with like, I collect foreign coins.
Okay.
I don't
Very
know
good.
why, but for some reason I really like it. And I guess I've got like two questions for here with you. Like I want to know like when you got into sneakers, but I also kind of want to know about like how addicted to this are you? Do you know what I mean? Like is it like this
Yeah.
is just interest, it's fashion, whatever, or is it like more kind of like what I'm referring to of this like addictive thing?
Okay.
You know what I mean?
All right. So I'll go with first. I'll start with where it sort of came from. Obviously, obviously you've given examples of seeing kids and stuff. There are groups of people who do sort of pay attention to sneakers and such like that in the UK. But obviously being from the UK as well, I'd say, and I've mentioned this before. I'd say like the NBA and stuff hasn't really had that much of an effect as it has in the US. Do you agree with that? You'd say like Michael Jordan and stuff like that. Even though it obviously a household name, huge star and everything, and people obviously know what Jordans are. Just being at school and stuff like that, people don't really care as much in the UK. I would say personally, just from experience, maybe it's where I live and stuff, but I would just say it's bigger in the USA, isn't it? Let's be honest.
I think that's fair to say. Yeah, I mean, like obviously, I play a lot of basketball, and I have noticed, like, obviously, if you play basketball, everyone is obsessed with NBA, of course, and like
Yeah.
sneakers and stuff. But yeah, like if we're talking mainstream, yeah, like not so much.
Yeah,
Although,
like the average person isn't really keeping up. Like
mm,
USA, that's their whole culture is basketball and football and baseball, isn't
yeah,
it?
yeah,
Like
yeah.
that, everyone there. I don't know if I'm generalizing here. Maybe I've just been watching too many films, but it does seem like it's much more integrated into their lifestyle. Whereas I'd say over here, it's more of our football, like soccer. Our football, I'd say, is
Yeah,
more
yeah, yeah.
influential over here. So um, I think obviously just developing on from that, we've just got a slightly different culture to them. And I would say I most of the people that I've come into contact with in that world can sort of say that they were simply brought up liking sneakers. Like it was from day one, their dad bought it for them, and their collection started when they had tiny little feet and they have all the little shoes and stuff.
Oh
That's not the
wow.
same for me. Like
Okay.
it's not. It's been, I'd say, 3 or 4 years maybe. I've actually started to take interest in it and stuff. I would say it started when I first got my job at Nike, which I've explained to you that I used to work for Nike. Right, so it makes sense, right?
I knew a little bit about this, but I don't think I've ever really asked you fully about this because I remember one time when we did the podcast, we did it was like you were comparing Nike and Adidas, possibly something like that. And there was this kind of thing where I was like, wait, what's the problem with Nike? And you wouldn't quite say it. You sort of said like, oh, maybe it's a story for another time. And I'm like, there's a story there.
Yeah, yeah,
What's
yeah,
the
yeah,
issue there? Yeah, okay. Like, talk to
yeah.
us a little bit about that then. Like, what'd you get up to when you worked for Nike?
Okay, so pretty much from I don't know. I wasn't really the most confident person, especially back then. So going into the interview, it was like a group interview.
Oh wow.
Um, So it was probably, I knew it'd probably be some kind of task. I'll make up this and present it, and who's good at working in a group and speaking to other people
Yeah,
and
yeah, yeah.
taking the charge and stuff, rather than actual what's the word for it, hard skills. They didn't
Mm.
really care about your maths and stuff. They just wanted to see if you could work well in the team. So me knowing that, I knew, okay, I could go in there and I could say, oh, let's all think about this idea, and I could take the easy way and just hope and keep fingers crossed that the person who was watching me felt extra kind during that day and wanted to give me the job. But I decided instead to just to research like some up and coming sort of shoes, some technologies and everything that were coming out around the time, in coming in the future, or had just recently dropped. And luckily for me, the task was to design a Nike sneaker, like just to draw it,
Ah.
label some of the details on it and stuff. Um, so we obviously split out into little groups. There was probably about 20 of us at this interview, and then there were about we probably split into like 5 different little groups to work on this project. And luckily, the person who was watching our group was the head of the back of house, like the warehouse that was attached to the store. So as everyone was sort of working on it, I was just trying to drop in little bits of knowledge that I'd picked up at home, just to sort of, and I
Yeah.
made sure I was right next to this guy so he could hear me, and I even spoke to him, and I was like, oh, have you heard about the new I was looking at the self-lacing Back to the Future style shoes that I think came out during that time, or they were working on them or something. And I
Yeah.
was like, yeah, have you heard about the self-lacing Back to the Future shoes? And he obviously was impressed by that. So um, I'd say that little bit of research, while I wasn't completely invested in sneakers and stuff, that was definitely the spark, sort of preparing for that interview and stuff. And then obviously getting the job, I was in the warehouse, so there were times when I would have to show up at like 6 in the morning to get the delivery,
Right, right.
through the back door. And from there my excitement grew, because I would see, I'd look on the notepad, the clipboard, and it would say Jordan, Air Jordan delivery. I'd be like, yes, I can't wait to see what the Jordan shoes are. I'd get the box cutter, rip it open, look at
Oh,
them, and
nice.
I'd have my friends back there with me, and we'd all like look at them and stuff. And then obviously spending like a 9-hour shift, you get bored sometimes. So obviously I'd spent most of my time just staring at these things, looking at all the little details and stuff.
Yeah.
So yeah, maybe I was infected by either the research or the just being trapped in a warehouse full of shoes for like 9 hours a day. And I was about 16 at the time, so obviously my attention wasn't the
Yeah.
best. So I did spend most of my time just looking at what I wanted to get myself, and putting these to the side, make sure they have a size 12 for me. Yeah, but I'd say that's probably where it came from most of all.
Cool, cool. I didn't know that. Thanks for sharing. Were you able to get like decent discounts while you were working there? Like, sort of.
Yeah, yeah, I got it was 30% in store, and then
Excellent.
because things are a tiny bit more expensive online, it
Mm.
was 44% online. So it's a
So it
very,
covers the
very
difference
big
then. Yeah.
yeah, yeah, very nice
Nice.
discount. Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
and so like as it stands right now, so you've kind of laid that out. That's about sort of four years worth of time. So between then to how old are you now? Actually,
I'm 19 now.
19. Wow, you're still so young.
So that's
Wow.
only
Okay.
three. Well, I'm nearly 20, so that's like 4 years. Yeah.
4 year. Okay. So like, how big is your collection now? Like, how many pairs of trainers do you have?
It's surprisingly not huge, just because I've sort of limited myself. And obviously not just being surrounded by like loads of friends who all, we're not all gassing each other up to have to
Yeah,
get the
yeah,
best
yeah.
get the best one. So it's definitely just been something where I've sort of tried on the sneakers app, it's very difficult to get them on there for the retail price. And then if they go to resale, obviously on like eBay and Depop and stuff like that, I normally just I'm not that addicted, so I'd normally just let them slide if because they normally put them up by hundreds on there. So yeah, I'm in no way a massive collector. I just get what I like. Some of them, some like Yeezys and stuff, which I don't really. Some of them are okay. I don't really care for them as much as some people do. So I
Mm.
normally just get them in, have a look at them, and then just sell them on for a little bit extra than what I got them for. But I'm definitely not one of these
Ah.
people. You see some people on Twitter and stuff who we all get annoyed about. All of the sneaker people on Twitter, they get like somehow they obviously backdooring it, like they have some friend in a warehouse who's getting it all for
Yeah,
them,
yeah,
like they're
yeah,
getting
yeah.
all of the stock, they've taken pictures tweeting it out like with like 20 pairs of Jordans that have just literally just released, and they're probably making like thousands profit from them. It's just annoying, like the people who actually like it for the money, like even though I
Mm.
said like I've resold some, I don't do it for profit. I just do it to get them in and then see if I like them. If I don't, then I put them up for like a fair price, like without mugging myself off and without mugging the other person off.
That's
Yeah,
interesting, actually. That yeah, because I've seen you do that before, and I've obviously watched a lot of these videos that you do when specifically the unboxing ones and the one where it's like the latest releases videos, and you use a lot of terms that I had to kind of like spend a bit of time trying to understand. So you often say copying, which means actually buying, purchasing them. But what you're talking about
yeah,
right there is very common, where you purchase them for people, or sometimes I see you tweet out like, hey, this pair is about to release, who wants me to cop them? And it's kind of like a request, and then people actually follow up on that and say, hey, yeah, can you cop them for me? So it's like
yeah,
an interesting kind of like e-commerce style deal, but it's also, as you said, like you're sort of a conservative collector, so you're doing it like for passion, but also interestingly, yeah, like trying them out and seeing like, well, maybe they're not for me, I'll sell them on then. And I find that quite
yeah.
interesting. But like, talk us a little bit.
Like
Go on.
yeah. Sorry, what was you gonna ask? Sorry.
I was just going to ask, like, if you could talk a little bit more about the process, I suppose, behind, just in general, like copying trainers and like you said, like using the apps and stuff. Because I've seen you tweet that you've had difficulties with these things as well. Like, it's not an easy process. So talk us through that a
Yeah.
little bit.
I would say for I have basically there's two that I use. Okay, there's I use Adidas app obviously to get the Yeezys and stuff, and then there's the Nike sneakers app, which is a separate app that they do just for their new and trendy sneakers that they're dropping
Ah,
pretty
okay.
much. So that they have on there, they have like a calendar that shows you upcoming ones. You can click notify me when like 15 minutes before it comes. It's normally about 8 a.m. I'd say. Normally on like a Saturday or something like that, they'll have a few things dropping, and most of the time they do sell out. Some of them, like if it's like an off-white collaboration or something that's really hype, they'll do like a raffle.
Hmm.
So basically, a raffle is at eight a.m. If say it's dropping at 8 a.m. At 8 a.m. they'll have the raffle open. You can go in there. You can put your email in, put your card details in, and then it takes about 10 minutes, I'd say, to all process and everything. And then they basically just pick, random selections out of there to be able to pretty much purchase the shoe.
Well,
Okay.
hold on, hold on. So you put your credit card details in there or debit card details in there,
Yeah.
and then this randomly selects a pair for you, or is it randomly that you'll get a chance to purchase the ones that?
Yeah. So you put what size you want.
Right. Okay. Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Right, of a specific shoe. So say it's the
It's like
off-white
it's like
Air
Wimbledon.
Jordan.
It's like Wimbledon, basically. You sign
I
up.
don't I don't understand that reference. I'm afraid I don't
Oh,
understand that reference.
so
Yeah,
when the Wimbledon tennis tournament, basically, because um, it would be unfair to just sell them straight, and because everyone and their mums wants tickets to Wimbledon, they're really expensive. They operate a raffle system, so obviously they give out a certain amount that are like to celebrities, court officials, blah blah blah. But most of them, wider majority, are raffle. So everyone enters in, and then you randomly get selected to, you know, I don't know, you got courtside seats, or you got seats to this random game or something. And it's, I don't know, when you were outlining that, it kind of sounded a little bit similar, like the process of
Yeah,
this.
it does sound like that. So obviously that there'll be a certain amount of stock that they'll sell on the app. There'll be a certain amount that they take to specific stores, maybe in London and some nice stores like that in the US and stuff. But yeah, they'll have a specific amount that they can sell of each size on the actual app. And for me, I always go for my size, obviously, because there are sizes that resell for more.
Mm.
Right, so say like size 10, size 7, they're quite popular sizes, so some people, it's harder to get those basically.
Mm.
But for size 12, it's a tiny bit easier, but with the main drops, they're virtually impossible. Like, you get one raffle entry per device that you're on, per account basically. Yeah, you put in your details, and then they pick someone who's lucky enough to be able to purchase the shoe. Because sometimes I've explained this to people before, and they think like it's a raffle to win the shoe for free. It's a raffle.
Yeah.
It's a raffle to be able to purchase,
So
basically.
raffle for the honor of
Yeah,
purchasing
for the
that
honor
sneaker.
of giving Nike money, basically.
Yeah. I mean, there's no other
Yeah,
way they could do that though, because you just know, particularly what you said before about people kind of, pardon my language, like taking the piss and buying up a load. You just know there would be a people with more dollar who would undercut. So let's say Nike is selling them for I don't know, 100 or something for a set, and they would buy them offline, buy them in bulk, and then sell them at like 95 or 90 or something. So they're just about undercutting them, but basically, or maybe they'll even sell them for more, even, and just be like, you know, completely. Yeah, actually, I've seen that where they buy them out of stock and then sell it for more, and it's like really not morally
yeah.
just. It's kind of sucks.
There are some releases that are like first come first serve, so they're
Mm.
obviously just whoever clicks the button first. But there also has been times where I've been on there waiting, 7:59, 8 o'clock, click on it, size 12, click on it,
Yeah.
didn't get it. It takes a couple minutes to process, didn't go through. They were already all sold. It's
Oh
ridiculous.
wow.
Yeah, it's ridiculous.
I imagine
So
the
they're
webs.
the main sort of strategies they have for release and stuff, basically.
And do you often get like problems with
Yeah.
like the website crashing or something? Like if there's loads of people trying to cop them at the same time, or
No, I'd say they're pretty because of the nature of the app. I
mm.
think they've taken that into consideration, because they know people are only going to be on there at 8 on Saturday, so they know. I think that aspect to it is very, it's very well looked after, but it's just like I've had very limited amounts when I've actually hit on the Nike sneakers app. Like, yeah, you're very, very lucky. Like, if you tweet, oh yeah, I got it, and send a screenshot of, what it is, the got and then the shoe. If you get that, like, you're getting loads of likes, you're getting loads of retweets, because
So
that's insane.
so there's a certain amount of like flexing here involved. Then basically, it's like, yeah, look what I copped kind of deal to some
The thing
extent.
is, though, because it's not even about the actual money, though, because
No, no,
like
no. I'm not
anyone.
talking. I'm not talking the money. I mean more the kind of exclusivity of because a lot of the time when you talk about many of these trainers, I've noticed a lot of them are limited edition as well. So they're only selling a certain amount, and then they're never going to sell them again, presumably, or unless they do a resell many years later or whatever. Like I've seen you do videos on that.
Yeah.
But yeah, like that's what you mean more, isn't it? The exclusivity of those trainers. Is that right?
Yeah, it's fully, completely luck based. Someone with just the right amount of money may be able to get it, and not afford to eat that for that month. And then
Yeah.
there'll be other people that have that has money to burn, but they don't get the chance of getting it. But then that same day, you'll see people, hundreds of them appearing on eBay and stuff, all marked up by about 100 to 200 extra pounds if you really wanted them. But I steer clear of that, steer clear of the resale market, because it's just So some of them they even they bring back, like they remake the shoe,
Mm.
just tiny little details that are different, and then yeah, they bring them back. So then obviously the ones that are on eBay that are holding all their, like, 10 pairs of this shoe, they're all decreasing in value because more people manage to get the ones that they want. But yeah, there are definitely people that take the mick a little bit. Obviously, if you go to a location to buy them and you have a friend there, they some people are picking up 10, 20, 30 pairs, and they're making $100, £100
Mm.
extra. They're sort of profiting off of people's passion for it. And that's the difference between me and those kind of people. I'm not here saying, oh yeah, I'm the best person ever and stuff, but like with some Yeezys that I've sort of unboxed and stuff, and I've looked at, and I've tried them on and stuff, and I didn't really like them. I sort of offer them to the people around me and the people that I know. Yeah, I offer if anyone else wants them for a reduced price or just the price of shipping and stuff, and then if not, I just put them up on eBay for maybe £20 extra just to cover costs, or £50 extra. But I know that sounds like I'm taking the mick, but that's like 50 or £100 less than what other people are asking for, so it's really not.
Mm.
And that profit is then obviously put back into the system, like I'm
Yeah,
then
yeah.
purchasing another pair or replacing that. So it's not like I'm just taking it and blowing it on strippers and drugs and stuff. Like I'm trying to do good with it. But yeah, and then obviously, like you mentioned before, there are like times when you will offer it's an assist, it's called. So you offer to give someone an assist, or you ask someone to get an assist. So there'll be times when, like, I don't really care about a specific drop, so I'll say, does anyone want to use my profile? Basically, obviously I'll do it, but like, do you want me to, like,
Oh.
Christian, do you want me to try for a size 11 or something in this specific shoe?
So,
So
so
it
yeah, so like
basically,
me, so like
yeah,
if I was trying to cop that trainer, then me, my profile and your profile will both go for it, and then that
yeah,
increases the chances, kind of thing,
yeah,
basically.
yeah, exactly, yeah. So
Ah.
maybe you'll put on the group chat or something like, oh, if anyone doesn't want this for themselves, then can you try and get it for me? And there'll be some people, like me, and like people that I try and surround myself with, who are kind, and they'll want to help people. And then there are some that are like, no, I could get it and sell it to you for 100 more and stuff. Like, there's people like that you get as well. But
Wow.
yeah, no, it's a ruthless world. Like, obviously people aren't saying that, but there are definitely people who don't come through with the assist for people just because they're using every chance they can get to make a dollar. You know what I'm saying? So, but yeah, it's a weird world when you're not really involved in it. It's definitely, like, even just saying this out loud now, it's strange to,
I mean,
yeah, it's like a little cartel.
it's not that strange. I mean, we've seen some of this kind of behavior in its extreme form, like negatively speaking, in the with the pandemic right now, with people buying like tons of toilet roll and then selling it on eBay and stuff, and like
And the hand sanitizer guy as well.
yeah,
He bought
yeah,
loads of it.
yeah. There's
I
that guy in
swear that guy.
America, wasn't
He
there?
resells shoes. Definitely that guy. He must do.
There was this guy in America I saw that bought like I think it was like $30,000 worth of hand sanitizer. But get this, the police found him out, and then he had to then give all of it away for free back to like either local stores or the local people or something. So he just lost loads of money and didn't
Yeah,
get to
I
keep
think
anything.
they banned him from selling it, didn't they? They banned
Yeah,
him from
yeah, yeah.
using like eBay and stuff. So he pretty much had to give it away because he had no other use for it. That's what you get.
Mucked
That's
it.
what you get. That's the feeling when they restock a shoe that someone's holding. That's the
Mm,
feeling that the sneakerheads feel. We're like, yes, we got our revenge. Now there's extra stock on the market, so the prices are going down.
good
Yeah,
stuff. Good stuff. Fighting the good fight.
yeah.
What is it you love about sneakers so much? Like, what would you say are the main reasons that you love sneakers?
um, I'd say at first it was. just from an interest of sort of the technologies within them, I'd say. Obviously, that first, time when I was preparing for that interview, it was more about, the sports performance aspect to it rather than,
Right.
the fashion aspect. Yeah, so I just looked at all the running technologies, all the Air Max and the free run technology and the cushioning technology and stuff, because obviously getting the job as well, we had to go through like days of training, learning all this stuff. So we watched like Nike documentaries and back behind the scenes of them designing and making it best for the athletes and stuff, because there's a lot that goes into it to the naked eye. It just looks like, oh, this is it's got a nice shape to it. You'll probably run a bit better in it, but the people that work on this stuff are scientists. They are, they're true workmen. They're, putting materials to the test and everything. So that's one thing that I really took interest in is the sort of performance aspect to it, and then just getting into that kind of world, being more active on Twitter, and then moving into content. I started getting to know more people. There's people that I talk to on a weekly basis who are involved in that kind of world, and then sort of just after that learning about the story behind different shoes, like who wore them, why they were popular. Have you seen the documentary, the Michael Jordan? I think it's The Last Dance. It was called
Is that
Netflix
the one that
show.
had the meme thing where it's like, and I took that personal, that thing? Is it?
Yeah. What?
Possibly.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. I believe so.
I
Yeah. There
haven't
was
I haven't
quite a few
seen it, but
memes.
it looks like a very like recent documentary, like it's been done in the last couple of years.
Yeah. 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 It was. I think last year that came out. And
Mm.
obviously, I knew the whole. Obviously, I wasn't around for it, but the whole Michael Jordan situation, and what a big impact he had on
Mm.
basketball and sneakers in general. But just
Like,
putting that
just to put this
putting
into
that in.
context, like everyone goes on about LeBron James, or like these days, like LeBron James, LeBron James, LeBron James, right? Or Kobe. But like Michael Jordan was like the LeBron James of like the 90s, basically. Like just
Oh, of course,
it was
more than that. Arguably, there's people. Yeah, there's people
yeah.
that debate like that all the time. Oh, is LeBron the new Michael Jordan? And like,
Mm.
I don't think anyone, not any sportsman, has come close to just from what I've seen, has ever come close to the impact that man had. Like,
I think it was
and his
because
mentality as well.
yeah, it wasn't just that though. Like it was his impact on like pop culture. I think that's the thing that's kind of maybe missing a
Exactly.
little
Yeah.
bit with like say LeBron. Like I know he's obviously involved in different things, and there is pop culture surrounding him and stuff. But like, I mean, Michael Jordan was in like Space Jam, for instance, and I know they're making a sequel and it's going to have LeBron in and stuff. But I'm just saying, like,
Yeah. I was gonna say that. I think
yeah,
they're making another. Yeah.
I'm game for it though. I'm always game for some
Yeah.
'90s nostalgia and unique take on it. So we'll see. Maybe it'll be good. Um,
Mm.
but yeah.
Yeah. So the Last Dance documentary. Obviously, I've seen Michael Jordan play, but just to put the whole story behind it. Obviously, I wasn't there to experience that, but that documentary does a really great job of highlighting his, what, like you said, cultural impact, as well as how much of a great athlete he was. So just to see that as well, I saw the because I have Jordan sevens. I saw, oh, he's wearing a Jordan sevens when he beat I think it was the Detroit Pistons. He beat when they finally beat him. I was like, oh, no way, I've got the Jordan sevens. And it's just little things like that that just sort of make it that extra little bit special. And then obviously just being so involved, like there's loads of people all over America that I'm sort of in contact with on a regular basis, and they always say, oh, how's it going over the pond, man? Like I'm their like little UK friend or whatever, and just talking about it with them as well is just really nice. So it's about being in a group. I know I saw your
Mm.
your skateboarding your skateboarding podcast, and you said about being part of a group and sort of you know, feeling welcome and feeling part of a movement and part of a group of people. So I think it is a lot to do with that as well. Just obviously I've just explained to you loads of different, you know, techniques and helping each other and you know, different terminology and stuff. So just being part of something like that. Some
Yeah.
people are really interested in video games and you know, certain sports and stuff like that, and
Well,
League
everyone
of
wants to
Legends or
feel
whatever.
included,
But
don't they? Everyone wants
yeah.
to be a part of something. Like I've always been, not to sound like cringy, but it's just how my life has turned out. I've always been like that kind of lone wolf thing. It's just
Mm.
happened that way. I've always tried to be part of groups, but it's just never kind of worked out. So I always just kind of learn, okay, I'll just do my own thing, right? And that's one of the things I laid out with the skateboarding thing is it's like, it's good because it can be both. And I suppose like in the sense that you can enjoy it on your own and you can enjoy it with people. Like things are always better with people, like regardless. It's always better to share your love and passion of things with other people. But it's nice that you can also appreciate it on its own as well. Like you can be a sneaker collector enthusiast and like, you know, that can just be something that's just for you and for no one else, right? So I kind of get it in that sense. But I think yeah, it's probably more enjoyable is the community aspect of it. And actually that feeds into my next question. Now I know you've done a video for this. So for those who haven't seen it, I recommend that you go check it out. Basically, Childish Jacko did a video on how the UK and the US trainer scenes compare. It was a really good video, very informative. And obviously it is from your perspective and stuff, and opinion and everything, but it's a very good video, I think, of kind of demonstrating like sort of how massive it is in America, and then maybe not that it's not as big in the UK, but it's just like different. But could you kind of like outline maybe some of those bigger differences, like because as you said, you've got friends that kind of rely on you that are like, hey, what's going on in the UK kind of deal. So you're like a source of information for them. But what's the UK scene
Yeah.
like, and yeah, how does it compare to the US?
I'll definitely say, even just from a YouTube point of view, there's not the market for a UK guy has not been filled in the slightest. Like I couldn't even tell you the biggest guy, but there is no
It must be you.
presence. It must be, yeah, it must be me.
Legit.
So so sorry, so we're talking about UK versus US. Also on another side note from that, I'm thinking about doing sort of like a follow up to that. But and like you
Hey.
said, like you just mentioned though, it was obviously just me, sort of giving my point of view.
Mm.
So I'm looking to, and I've got a few people in mind, sort of invite someone else on to talk about it with me about the differences and give their sort of background. It's someone you know, but I'm not gonna, because he hasn't said that he will do it yet. So I'm
I think I
just
have
gonna
an
sort of,
idea, but yeah.
yeah, you probably know, yeah. So, yeah. So how does it differ? Yeah, be I don't know. You'd probably be wrong to say that is smaller. I know I probably do say that
Okay.
it's not as influential here. Some people did point that out to me, and I think I sort of did misspeak a little bit because I was just talking from my sort
Yeah,
of
it was your
location where
individual
I am.
kind of thing, because
Yeah,
you were saying the point of the video is you were saying that you know, growing up in your school, your experience was that, you know, there wasn't really anyone focused on it. Maybe the people playing sports were, but ultimately, and as we both spoke about earlier, yeah, in the mainstream, you just, you know, if I walk down the high street now, I'm not going to see people walking around in Jordans unless they're playing basketball.
yeah.
That's the reality. Whereas in America, it's very likely you'll find that, like just people randomly chilling with their Jordans or whatever Yeezys or, you know.
Hmm. Yeah. So I'd say that people aren't as creative or adventurous, especially in my area, when it comes to what they can and can't wear, I'd say. Obviously, you see a lot of, you see a lot of bad chavies around with their Air Maxes on and stuff. They're all black Air Force Ones, Air Max 90, Air Max 95.
So boring.
I know, yeah, like that is great, and obviously it goes with a lot and stuff, and it matches sort of the cold and the dirty weather and everything. So
Mm,
it makes sense not to just to be walking around in bright colours. But then I
that's a
see
good
some
point,
like,
actually. Fair
yeah.
play.
And then obviously we've got like the all white Air Force Ones. Every teenage girl has those, I swear. or multiple pairs. People are buying like 2 pairs a year and just throwing them away when they're a bit dirty. But so I'd just say not so much that it doesn't have as big of an influence, but I'd say like I only saw a handful of people wearing Jordans at my school, and just from just the way people like Sawney Kicks and some other some other people sort of my age that are into it over in the USA. Just from the way they talk about it, you can tell that it has more of a day-to-day impact on them rather than just the people who are, super fans in the UK. Like there was one guy I know who played basketball, and I know he had some Jordans and some I think he played in some LeBrons. I think he played in like LeBron 17s or something. And obviously I took full notice of that because I was like, wait, this is weird. Like how is this guy, walking around in these purple and yellow LeBron 17s? Like this is weird. But yeah, and I had another friend who had the Rookie of the Year Jordan 1, which is like the brown like sort of boot looking Jordan 1s that are really nice. He still has those now, I think, but they're beat as hell.
I know I'm going to sound like an idiot for this, but like, given that I know nothing about this, with all of these Jordan shoes, are they all shoes that Jordan originally played in, or is it like some of them are, and then the rest are just designs that have been created under this brand? Like, which is it?
It's a mix actually. So
Okay.
there are ones that are retros, which are like original releases. They're ones that are really sought after, and the people that did grow up in that time, obviously they're going to hold those to really high regard when it comes to like how much they're willing to spend. So when those pop up, they'll sell out instantly. They'll be the ones that are like, they've gone up from like £170 up to like £500 on StockX or something. Like they'll be crazy prices, maybe even up to 1,000 if they're like a Jordan 1 or something that's very very influential. That they'll normally be a red and a white colorway. That is called a red, white, and black. So it's red colorway basically. It's a red colorway because of obviously the Chicago Bulls. So a lot of his shoes were just red, white, and black.
So when you say colorway, is that like the base color then? So it's like red shoe.
Colorway is just the color combination basically.
Ah, okay.
I think
I'm learning something.
that's how I think about it. So it'll
Yeah.
be like, oh, it's the Jordan 1 in a red colorway, which is basically black, red, and white colorway. And then people will generally, the trend is that red will sell better. They'll sell the best just because he was Chicago Bulls red. He mostly played in red. Then there'll be some that he didn't play in that are very like limited, that aren't necessarily red, and there'll be some from ages ago. There'll be new ones that people really like. So it is a mix of new and old designs, but people do especially gravitate towards the retros. They and some people exclusively, like obviously some rich people and stuff, they exclusively look for just the retro shoes basically.
Well, thanks for sharing the knowledge. I feel like I'm learning so much. I knew I would learn from this, but it's just interesting to like pick your brains about all this a bit more,
And also, I'll just add this on just to give a little bit more information. But with the retros, say it's obviously because they'll be manufactured in different years and stuff. They'll be slightly different. They're obviously supposed to be the same shoe, but they'll be slightly different. And because people are more particular about, are these, 1990s Jordan 1s, or are they 2013 Jordan 1s, like what edition they are. So they'll be listed on like StockX or eBay, basically with a lot of emphasis on what year's release they are, if you get what I mean.
Okay.
And people are obviously like the oldest ones are they're like, you can't even find them on sale.
So there could be feasibly, there could be people that would be like, oh yeah, the 95s are like classics, and then someone goes, oh, they're 99s, they're trash, you don't want them. Like there's a probably like people saying stuff like that. Okay.
they'll be like, oh, they used cheaper leather on the newer versions, so
Yeah,
they're like
yeah.
the poor man's versions, even though they're still selling for like £500. Like it,
Wow.
people have their own sort of rule book that they live by, whether what they're allowed to buy, what they can't. Some
There's
people, because
rules to
they
this? Wow.
no,
Oh my god.
no, I just mean like some people will sort of like a religion, they'll
Yeah.
stick to like I'm only gonna wear my team's colours. I'm only gonna wear
Uh,
retros. I'm only gonna wear things that Jordan actually wore himself. Um,
wow.
what was I gonna say? And just for like the Jordan 1, for example, this is another example of how people define it. They have and I'm sure because I heard you talking about your skate shoes, right?
Yeah.
DC and stuff like that. And I know Vans, they're a skate shoe, right?
Yeah.
Vans, pretty
Yeah.
much.
Mhm. Wow.
They have like high,
Yeah.
you you know how they have high top and low top and stuff,
Yeah.
don't they?
Yeah.
It's the same with like Jordan ones and some other Jordan models. They'll have like a high top version, a mid top version, and a low top.
It's funny you mentioned that as well. Actually, I knew about this growing up when I was a skateboarder because I had at some points I did actually have. They weren't exactly basketball shoes, but they were high tops, low tops, stuff like I really liked the high tops. I'd
Yeah,
wear a lot of like Nike high tops or oh god, I can't remember the brands, but they were like always American brands. They were always like really expensive, like at least 50 or 60 base price. Uh, but they
yeah.
were great for skateboarding in. And that, like for me, I would always get them based on obviously the look and stuff, but like how you could skate on them. Because like certain shoes were actually trash. Like if you got like there's some people that stand by wearing things like etnies and like the bulk shoes, the like they look horrible, but they're like really bulky skate shoes that are like fat. They like look fat.
Um,
Do you know what I
I
mean?
see. They're kind of like a Jordan sort of size, as in like how bulky they are. Is that right? Like you see a lot of like is it DC, the brand
Yeah,
DC? They
yeah,
have a lot of
yeah.
like fat skate shoes, don't they?
It's
Rather
it's
than
it's like a
like
style
when
they
I've
had
yeah,
back in the early 2000s. Like when I was growing up, they had like this style. And it was like really popular. I always hated that style though. I was always more into like the neater Vans or the Nikes or the Nike Airs and all that stuff because it looked better and it was easier to skate on as well. Like the bulky
yeah, I
ones.
was gonna say it must be hard to get those to make tricks in the big shoes, surely.
Well, some people no, that's the thing. Some people think like make the counter argument that it's easier in those shoes, and I've skated with both, and I always personally preferred like skating with Nikes and like because it was tighter. I felt like I had more control on the board and stuff. But it's
Yeah,
just an individual perspective. I suppose it's the same as like basketball shoes. Like people swear by different styles that it's better for my playing. Blah blah blah. It's probably the same thing. But point is, anyway, I discovered
yeah.
about all of this stuff as well. I just didn't realize that it was kind of similar in with basketball shoes. Like I thought that was just a skateboarding thing. But
Yeah.
it's cool.
Well, with the Jordan 1 high tops and mid tops and low tops, it's not even down to like a performance preference like you're talking
Oh,
about. Oh, it's easier to do tricks in these and stuff. People hate, like there's some people that absolutely hate mid top Jordan 1s. And if I'm honest, the difference between them and a high is I think one or two lace holes. It's about an inch taller for the highs, and they're pretty much the same other than that. And there are people that they'll bully people that wear mids. I don't know why. It's nothing to do with
wow.
performance or stability or anything. It's purely just a fashion decision that people say like either they'll wear a high, some people like the lows, and then like it's very rare to see people actually looking out for a mids release. Like not a lot of people care about mids. It's weird. I think it's just because they're not like original sort of they're not really recognized as like original sort of shoes. Obviously I don't believe anyone really played in mid Jordan ones, so I think people just sort of disregard those, I think. So
Maybe they
yeah.
just went out of fashion. Do you know what I mean? Because like I remember, do you know Converse shoes, like the original Converse shoes? right?
Yeah,
Like,
they're owned by Nike, Converse.
yeah, well, that's weird. I didn't know that.
Yeah.
I owned a pair of those back in the early 2000s, and I did my research on them, and I found out because I think they became popular because like Green Day and a bunch of other punk bands started wearing them, and they basically had a resurgence. But they were originally made, I think, as basketball shoes actually in like the
Yeah.
50s.
Yeah, they are.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like 1950s or something. And I was like, wow, they're like so old. And point being that they had that resurgence 50 years later. But like, I don't see anyone wearing them now. I see people wearing Converse, but not those original ones. They wear like,
They're One Star, aren't they? They're called One Stars, the original basketball Converse.
yeah, like you wouldn't see anyone caught dead in the originals now. Like everyone's wearing the like ones that look more like the Vans, I guess. Uh,
Yeah.
so I guess they've gone out of popularity, but they were huge. Like when I was a teen, like
Mm.
everyone had them. Like I had like two different colors. I think I had like black and some other color. Some people had like ridiculous, like red, green, blue. It was really weird, but you know,
Mm.
whatever. But yeah, cool, man.
Yeah,
Also,
it's weird how people make their rules and stuff. Like just it's weird.
it's just bizarre to me. Like wear whatever the fuck you want. Like, why did there have to be rules?
Yeah.
Like that's mad. But okay, like let's because I want to ask more about your preference. Like, what qualities do you, in your opinion, make the perfect sneaker?
The perfect sneaker.
But
Okay.
from your perspective, because there are no right
Uh
ones, I don't think. But you know, you're a
yeah.
sneaker. You've got a good kind of head for this.
I'd say personally, I don't the silhouette, basically the silhouette as in the model, what
Ah,
it is basically, what the shoe is. It doesn't really matter to me that much as long as it's it's something that I like. So a Jordan that I like or an Air Max silhouette that I like is fine. It's more about the color for me, to be honest. Like a lot of people say no Jordan 1 mids, no Jordan 1 lows, but if there's a nice color in those, then I'll I'll pick it up, like, and if I think I can pull it off with something, then I'll pick it up. So like for example, and that doesn't mean colors, that means like the absence of color as well. So like I've got some Nike SBs, like skateboarding shoes basically.
I used to
um
have those. Sorry.
yeah,
Oh yeah, that's sick.
like the small little compact sort of Vans
Mm,
style design, basically. The whole upper, so the whole sort of material part of the shoe basically is just all black. The sole is all white, and that's it. Like it's so simple, and I can wear them with anything. And they're not the most comfy in the world, but you get the SB Van sort of look, and it's simple. And then I've also got Air Max 95s, which are Air Max 95s, right?
yeah.
Yeah, so Air Max 95s, kind of like a bulkier shoe. Um, and the bottom, obviously, the sole is all white. The top, bright yellow, bright blue. So I'm going with like the bumblebee theme. And yeah, so basically with that, I'm just saying like I like bulky, slim, or loads of color, no color. The recent Jordan 4s that I got, they have like metallic red on them, all
Mm,
white, like. So it's just a lot of difference, being creative as well. I picked up some. It's basically like a hybrid shoe. They don't do this often, but it was a collaboration between Nike and a brand called Pata.
mm,
Don't know if you've heard of that brand. They did like a custom shoe, sort of sort of promotion collaboration sort of thing, and it was basically the upper of an Air Max 90 on the sole of an Air Max 95, or you
mm.
could have it the other way around. And you could pick pretty much from a few colors on each part of the shoe what you wanted it to be, what you wanted it to look like. And yeah, I picked all different, like I made it the most goofy looking thing I possibly could, just because I wanted to be different. And I highly doubt, because obviously they made it to order, like they made your specific design to how you wanted it. So I just wanted mine to be like one of a kind. I've got them on. So yeah, I'm not afraid to just put a bit of color on there. I know some people, especially in the UK, I've seen just wear all black, all white. But yeah, just anything. I know I just pretty much my answer was anything, but I can see the beauty in anything, man. You know what I'm saying?
You spoke a lot about, like, obviously you worked for Nike. Many of the trainers that you like are Nike like trainers as well. But I'm kind of interested as to your thoughts on the great debate, so to speak. Like, where do you sit with Adidas versus Nike? Like, where's your head at?
Hmm.
Who's your
I'd
team?
say just my team is Nike. I have to say, I've shied away from sort of saying that before, but I'd
Mm.
pretty much hand on heart say, like, I pay more attention to Nike. I care more about Nike releases. And just from having that experience of working there, and maybe if in an alternate reality I walked into Adidas that day instead of Nike, or they called me back about my CV or whatever, maybe it'd be the other way around. But
No.
yeah, just as of right now, I just think Adidas has some really nice designs. I like some of the Yeezys. I like some of the like bulky Adidas designs and stuff. But just in general, I don't pay as much attention to those. One thing, I'm not sure if it is the figure now, but or I'm not sure if this is true now, but when I was working for Nike, I remember reading that. So obviously this was a few years ago, that the biggest brand, like the biggest footwear brand in the world, is Nike, and
Yeah.
the second biggest footwear brand in the world is Jordan.
Wow. Oh yeah. I mean, it
So
must be really. I mean,
so I mean, Adidas as the competitor, I'm not sure if that's the case now, but like the fact that they're third place to
mm.
two Nike brands is like, I think it says quite a lot about how much, like, there are definitely more Team Nike people out there, like 100%.
Well, I gotta say as well, like obviously, like I don't know a lot about this, but I hear a lot more about Nike, Jordans, all of that stuff. I never really hear about Adidas making like similar stuff. I'm sure they do, but it's just I don't really hear a lot about that. Do you know what I mean? There's no like, for instance, I've never seen you
Yeah.
really talk about like, oh, the Adidas collab. Like maybe you have, but for me, I always notice the Nike
Mm.
ones or the Jordans or something like that. So maybe it's just
Yeah, I
not what they're
think
good at.
maybe what you've seen has just been based on what I've spoken about, maybe. So maybe my opinion and me sort of neglecting Adidas has sort of rubbed off on you. But no,
But I
I
know
have,
just in general as well, like in stores or people that I know or whatever. Like I never see Adidas,
yeah,
at least um, in the same way, or I don't know. Maybe I'm not really articulating this very well, but you get what I mean, right?
I do get what you mean. Yeah, I
Yeah.
think, and that is sort of like a snowball effect as well. Like, you hear about it less, so you think about it less, and then
Right. Yeah.
you
Yeah.
know you're so. But I do, I don't hate Adidas. I don't. I have some Adidas sneakers as well, but
Mm,
just in terms of like upcoming releases and stuff, it's unless there's something really groundbreaking, I'm not overly fussed about Adidas, to be honest.
fair enough. Fair enough.
Yeah.
All right, well, let's switch it up a bit, and we'll come back to sneakers a little bit, but let's talk about something else. Outside of YouTube, what are your main interests, and what do you do for fun?
Okay, so I've been training in taekwondo for 5 or 6 years now. I believe it's about 5.5 years. So that's been something that I've been doing. I to be honest, for the first few years, I didn't really take it overly seriously.
Hmm.
But just recently, I've really been sort of looking at how to improve myself, how to improve, my techniques and stuff. And I've got a couple little things lined up that I want to talk about, which I think are very exciting. And then also on top of that, me and a friend started a Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu class, which we were sort of, yeah, Christian knows, he knows. We were sort of, I'd say, encouraged to do that, just because my friend that I started with, he's helped me a lot. He's helped me for a lot of personal stuff and everything. And I just think like we're both talking about how we could really challenge ourselves. I think you can't really grow unless you really put yourself through something that you don't want to do. And at the start of this year, and like when I became like less active in talking to you and stuff, I really took a interest in like physical fitness, pushing myself.
Right.
I've read like more books than I've ever read. I've like studied more. I did like online courses and stuff, and I've really pushed myself. And my friend that I started that with, we were both talking, and he helped me through a lot and stuff. And he suggested, why don't we start this Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu class? It's apparently the hardest martial art in the world. Apparently 90% of people don't make it past white belt.
Damn.
Which, you know, it's a big achievement in itself to even like make it past that. But just the fact that a lot of people can't even, you know, it's a massive learning curve. It challenges you to move in a different way. So yeah, that's something that I've started quite recently as well. But
I was
I've
gonna say
made sure to.
you just dropped a video which you sent to me just before we did the podcast, and I watched it, and it was really really good. For anyone who wants to go check that out, it's basically a 1 month progress video of Childish Jacko doing Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu, and it's a really really good video because I think it kind of outlines, you know, some of the reasons why you said you got into it, and also like, you know, you really kind of go into detail about the discipline and like the kind of fitness level you need to be at when you go into it, and what to expect, what to avoid, what people's attitudes are like all of this really interesting insight. And I guess like the only question I had with that, it was like, and it's tricky because you really did go into quite a lot of detail anyway, so there's not much I could ask you, but I wanted to know like just your progress in general, like I guess your overall feeling about it. Like, for instance, I didn't know that you already did taekwondo for so long. So you already have like that base kind of understanding. Because I've done a little bit of martial arts, and I know that, you know, you have to have like discipline is very, very important, integral to it. Like it's so much more about the mind and the discipline than the physicality of it. It's like you got to master that stuff first before you even get to the physicality stuff, and then
Oh, of
obviously.
course, yeah.
Right, and then there's all the other stuff with like for instance, you gave a really cool pointer in the video where you say that, you know, you grew up doing rugby, and you had to basically like retrain because there's something you did with like your head, and like you kept getting. I think you said like you got tackled, or like
Yeah.
takeovers were too easy, so you had basically other people were telling you, "Hey, stop tucking in your head because that makes it easier for a takedown." So you're basically having to retrain your muscle memory. That's what you were saying in the video, which
Yeah.
I found interesting.
So yeah, so with that, if anyone hasn't seen it already, it's jiu-jitsu is grappling. It's sort of to someone who doesn't know really even what jiu-jitsu looks like, think of sort of wrestling, submissions, you know, headlocks and you know, manipulating limbs and stuff to, you know, force someone to tap out. So it's no punching, it's no kicking, it's no striking of any nature. It's some takedowns, and then it's really like it's a chess game basically. Move against move. He's got my arm, I need to, you know, create a frame and get out of that. I need to, you know, use certain leverage because my arm's here, and I can, you know, tip him onto his back, and, you know, so it's very physical, and that's how it differs from taekwondo, which is very, you know, I'm stood all the way up here, I'm kicking from a distance, I'm retreating, I'm kicking again. It is very difficult, and it requires a whole different strength to begin with. But it's definitely less. You get less contact in something like taekwondo or karate or something where you're striking and then sort of playing tactfully, whereas in jiu-jitsu it's literally all guns blazing. You know, dude's like, he's accidentally elbowing me in the face, I'm getting all cut up and stuff.
Yeah.
I'm brute. Like people, like you do it. There are different styles. Like there's gi or no gi. Gi is like the suit, you know, the suit that you wear, the sort of martial arts uniform. With the gi, obviously you can do a lot of sort of, you can get control by grabbing them on the collar and stuff like that. And people are literally like it's so chaotic that they're grabbing you by this, like the skin, like they're grabbing you through the thing on the skin. Like I've got massive like hand marks all over my arms and stuff. Like it's mad. Like it's very aggressive. Like accidentally taking like knees and elbows to the face. I'm seeing the light. I'm getting choked out. I can't feel my legs. And yeah,
Yeah.
man, I'm all over the place. So what are we? So yeah, so it definitely requires something very different. And yeah, there was a lot of stuff that needed to be unlearned when it came to sort of my past experiences. I played rugby for about 3 years, maybe 3 or 4 years. Never really took that too seriously, but one thing I was good at was tackling and sort of being in the scrum and stuff. So um, sort of putting your head down low, burying your shoulder in. It's not really advisable in jiu-jitsu, just because you'll sort of open yourself up to sort of like a headlock or some kind of takedown. You're putting yourself in a really bad position by sort of letting your head go under their armpit, basically, which is going to get you in a headlock. Like, even to someone who's not trained at all, it's a bad position to be in. But obviously in that situation, you're not thinking about what you're doing. It's all muscle memory. That's all any of this is muscle memory. So it's a mistake that I made countless times. And yeah, so with sharing that, I just wanted to sort of highlight that that they're helpful in that regard. And yeah, that's I just wanted to make people aware that it's okay to mess up, especially when you're starting. And obviously, even people as great as me make mistakes sometimes. So yeah.
Do you think with because obviously, yeah, you said that you studied taekwondo for many years beforehand, and obviously you just started with the jiu-jitsu. Do you have like a plan with this, as far as like, do you plan on maybe moving into like maybe amateur fighting or something like that, or is this just a purely like personal thing that you're just trying to better yourself with, or like, is there any plan with that?
Okay, so with the jiu-jitsu, that is mainly a personal sort of it was I'm a busy person. I'd need to be
Right.
moving at all times. So with adding jiu-jitsu to my schedule, that's given me 4 or 5 days a week where I'm doing martial arts training 4 or 5 days a week. So either it's taekwondo or jiu-jitsu, and that's 4 or 5 days in a row. So that's really pushing myself. And on top of that, I do on my lunch breaks, because I'm working from home currently. I have a little sort of gym set up in my garage. I've
Yeah,
bought
yeah,
some dumbbells. I've got a punching bag. I've got some weights and stuff. So I do about an hour, 45 minutes, sort of hour weight session on my lunch break, like while I have a break. And then from about 7 to 9, I do 7 to 9 at night, I do martial arts training. So I'm getting like a good few hours a day in.
Damn, son.
But that's and even still, sometimes I go to bed and I think I could have given it more. I could have given it more. So but and I know I sort of glossed over it, and I'm all over the place, and I don't know how well this is going to translate into what I'm thinking and what I'm
You're doing
saying. But
fine, man. You're doing fine.
I
Don't
I
worry.
I I, I owe a lot. I'm not going to say his name, but I owe a lot to my friend who sort of got me into that and stuff. And I've had conversations with him about like where I'd be if it wasn't for him. But
Right.
he's doing certain things with jiu-jitsu that he's thinking about sort of how his career is going to progress and stuff, and
Right.
sort of looking into that more of a disciplined lifestyle, where I'm just doing it for just the fitness aspect, and I'm taking taekwondo a little bit more seriously. Can I talk about that?
Of
Is
course.
that
Yeah.
cool?
Go ahead. Yeah. Please.
Yeah. So I think, yeah, other than that, like jiu-jitsu, just a bit of fun. I'm just trying to sort of experience something new, try something, see where it goes. I'll probably do some competitions and stuff. But since taking taekwondo a little bit more seriously, I've sort of been talking with my teacher, my master, a little bit more and stuff, just basically trying to get all the training in I can and everything. And he sort of advised me to go for I can't remember the exact term for it. It's like a talent acquisition day.
Okay.
right? So sort of like a trial day, a sort of
Right.
show
Right.
'em what
Right.
you've
Right.
got day, and it's with the company who sort of overlooks the taekwondo. It's British taekwondo basically, so overlooks the taekwondo um, team, the
Mm.
taekwondo, teaching all over Britain, and so there'll be people there who are present, people from the Olympics and stuff, and it's
Oh wow.
basically a day where they'll sort of see who, if anyone's fit to join the GB team. So that's something that I'm actually working towards right now.
Oh wow.
He's
Okay.
given me, like, he's doubling down my training. He's like, I'm trying to, that's why I'm doing, that's why what I said, like, I'm doing like weight session, I'm doing 2 hours of training a day, like
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
I'm really trying to take this seriously, and even if I don't like make it, I'm just going to give it and really like test myself and see how well I can do on the day and see how close I can get. But even if it's not, even if 2020 isn't my year, I'm going to try again next year. I'm going to try and
Mm-hmm.
do
Mm-hmm.
similar things like that, and it's experience as well. Like, even if the day after that I just quit, like, I'll be able to say, like, I went to this this event, I met this certain person. So yeah, that's something that I wanted to sort of share on. I wanted to make sure I said it when someone else was there, just so if you have any questions or maybe I missed something. But I just want to, yeah, I'm gonna sort of be, and that's what the jiu-jitsu thing was about. Is I want to sort of start documenting my journey, where I'm going and stuff, and the people I meet and everything, and sort of add that sort of conversation into my story,
Mm.
um, to hopefully help other people and help myself. And yeah, so that's one thing I'm working towards. Also, I've had some talks with my teacher, my master, about because he's not old, but he's getting on a little bit, and he laughs about that and stuff, and says, "Oh, I'm too old for this and stuff." It's a bit of the Karate Kid and Mr. Miyagi. You know what I'm saying? So he says, "Oh, I'm not gonna be here forever. Uh, so like I need someone to leave this sort of dojo to
My
when I'm gone or when I
apprentice.
retire." Yeah, so I'm the apprentice. So
Yeah.
yeah, he basically just said, now that I'm sort of taking it more seriously, I've helped with some sort of warm ups of some of the lower grades and stuff, and he's sort of seeing my progress. He's basically offered to sort of teach me how to train people, sort of
Oh
have more of a
wow.
teaching role within it, and that will take away the cost of, like, me having to pay to train, because I'll be technically an employee, kind of like, well,
Mm.
obviously working for free, but obviously
But
learning at
you
the
don't have
same
to pay
time and
for
stuff.
training. Yeah. So it's yeah
Yeah.
works.
So yeah, so that's something that I'm sort of doing as well. So I've been sort of
So,
doing a few
so you
little
thinking like
activities and
maybe
stuff.
that you could become like a full construct, maybe like this could be like a money spinner on the side for you, or potentially even the main money interest in the future. Is that a consideration of
Exactly.
yours? Okay.
And that brings us full circle to keeping every single door open that you possibly can.
Right. Right.
You
Right.
know, it's about making every opportunity you possibly can, whether it's, keeping in contact with sneaker people, or making sure your taekwondo master likes you that little bit more. Like, it's about keeping every single option open to you. But it's definitely either could be on the side thing. The particular teacher who said this to me, he has hundreds of students, so he's very successful. I'd be lucky to even get that experience of helping him sort of develop his class and everything. But obviously I've got a long way to go. Things
Mm.
happen. Depends what happens at this Olympic Team GB sort of day, or life gets in the way. But um, this week, actually, I've got an upcoming. It's basically a grading, like a belt grading for some of the younger, lower grade students.
Hmm.
So I'm going along to that, even though I don't have to. I'm gonna have the microphone.
Yeah.
I'm gonna say, ready, position ready. front kick, and then give the command and say say certain things in Korean and tell them
Oh
to
wow,
bow
cool.
and stuff. So it's just about getting that little bit of experience again,
Yeah.
and it could go incredibly well, or it could just be a little hobby on the side. But
Hmm.
it's just a few extra little things that, because I said I like to be busy,
Yeah.
but I'm going to keep everyone updated on how certain things go, so it should be good.
Yeah, no, I mean that sounds amazing. Like I'm really glad to hear that. I'm particularly glad of like how it's affected your mindset positively. I think that's probably the biggest takeaway here. But it's exciting, like to hear all of this. Like I really hope you do well, and hopefully maybe get on the team. You never know. You never know.
Mm,
Um,
hopefully that's the dream, but obviously anywhere, even coming that's 100%, even coming to like 70, 50%, even
yeah.
being better than you were the day before, like it's important just to keep aiming for something that's so out of reach, that's impossible, and then landing halfway up the hill, you've still done an amazing job. So I'm just going to try my best, basically.
Yeah, I agree with that, and particularly like what you were saying about like keeping all the doors open and trying different things. Like I've done the same thing in this past year, particularly in lockdown. It's I've kind of thought, well, I've got all this time to like try different things, and I'm doing all these things that I never would have done before, and they're not all of them are tied to YouTube. Some of them have nothing to do with YouTube, and I think it's important, to always kind of make yourself as employable as possible, in all different areas. Like what can I do as a human? How can I be more valuable or whatever, or monetize my interests or whatever. That's one element of it, but the bigger, more important thing is what you kind of said about pushing yourself. Like what can I achieve? What's particularly with fitness as well. Like recently I've kind of let my fitness go a little bit. Like I've been doing intensive basketball training, but it's like got to that point where it's like, okay, it's too cold to do basketball. Now it's time to hit it hard again.
Yeah,
And I know what's involved with that because I've done it before. And it's both a mental and a physical thing. But one thing I recognize straight away from what you said, and I've definitely felt this before, is that kind of always pushing yourself and wanting to go harder and harder and harder. And, the difference between physical and mental is very interesting, because sometimes it's like physically you might feel like you can't keep going, but like mentally sometimes you just kind of feel like, no, I got to keep going. I can keep going. I've got like a little bit more left in the tank. And you know obviously like it's all about consistency over time as well. Like I don't know if you're doing, let's say, cardio, and like normally you do 20 minutes and you want to push it to 25, and you feel like if you go past 20 your legs die. But it's like, if I can just push it that little bit more and get that little bit more out of myself, and like who knows what I can achieve next, kind of deal. Like it's just a positive mindset overall. I think is really awesome that you have that, and I totally can relate to that as well. That's really cool.
definitely. Yeah, it's all about really pushing to see what you can do, I'll say. And it's interesting that we keep sort of going back to this, but in the post TCJ sort of time, in that
Mm,
sort of time of the year and stuff, this year it's been a lot of things to a lot of different people, I guess. But
yeah.
no, in that time I sort of adopted the mindset of doing exactly what you don't want to do in terms of like fitness and stuff. I went on my regular run, and then I thought, you know what, I really couldn't do that again. And I thought, oh well, I guess I'm going on my run again. So I did the whole thing again,
Would,
and
would
that's
you
what I've been doing.
would you mean like when you said that?
Well, I like at the start, I was on autopilot. Like my life, I'd just been doing my same run every day, or my same,
Right.
weight routine and stuff. And then when I got home from my run, I'd done my circuit. I'd been up the hill and back down again. And then I stood there and I thought, well, I've done exactly what I do every day. I don't think I could do that again. And then I went out, straight away, and I proved to myself that I could do it again, and that's what I've been
Damn.
doing.
Wow. That does take a lot of like strength of mind. Like I've been there myself where there were times when I was in the gym where I thought I was going to pass out. Like and there's no one there to protect you. You're responsible for yourself. And it's like, but yeah, I think it is so much more, isn't it, than just the physical side of things, or even trying to like set yourself goals. It's like, if you know it within yourself that you can do it, you just want to kind of just say like, what if, and just push
Mm.
yourself past that bar, you know?
Do the impossible.
Yeah.
It's much more a mental thing than it is a physical thing most of the time. Like the biggest fight is always to start the exercise or to carry on, or once you get that little, you know, voice in your head saying, "Oh, you know, we've been around this field 5 times already. The gate's right there. Home's literally right outside this field. Let's go." Like there was this one time I did 10 kilometers. Like I ran around the same field for 10 kilometers. Like I just did it because I was
Mad
like,
man.
I was just like, yeah. No, I was just thinking like my
Just did
legs
it to
hurt from
flex.
yesterday. No, listen to me. Like I want people to take something away from this. Like it's that, don't listen to it as if I'm talking about myself. Just put yourself into this position and just try it yourself. Like my legs hurt from the day before. I did. I promised myself I'd do 10k. I ran around the same field. Like I got to the end. I finished my 10k. I stood at the gate and I thought like I could just walk through this gate right now and do exactly what I said I was going to do. And I actually went to the gate and then I just turned around and did another kilometer around the field, like just like doing exactly what you don't want to do, learning to feel like pain, learning to, you know, when you're at your tiredest, that's when you realize who you really are. That's what I'm trying to say. Like you understand like I'm, you know, I'm Jacko and I can run 11 kilometers. Like before I was at that gate and I made that decision to go again, I was only Jacko who could run 10 kilometers. That's all I was. Do you understand?
Yeah.
It's about making different habits, you know what I'm saying? Like it's just and it translates into your own life as well. Like you could easily just get up and play Xbox and do the same thing you do every day, or you could try and teach yourself something, you know. And that's one thing I've seen, like a lot of people my age, like they always, you know, they think that it's enough to look like you're having fun or like look like you're cool or look like you have certain things. And I know that's rich coming from a guy who talks about sneakers and stuff. Surely that's the most you know, materialistic person there is. But um you know, there's been certain people that I've met recently who have shown me like you can push yourself to do a lot. You don't need to just limit yourself to what people say that you can do and stuff.
Yeah,
Like,
definitely.
yeah, some people said like don't, like you can't do two martial arts at once. Like I'm doing it. Like look at me, I'm doing it. Like I've taught myself how to trade stocks. Like I'm doing it right now. I've got a full-time job. Like what? Like you're telling me I don't have enough time to do it. Like I'm doing it. That's it. Like I can't. You can't survive standing still. You need to always be moving forwards. That's it.
You're touching on like so many important points here. Like I, I just want to pick your brains about this because it's brilliant stuff, and I agree with all of it. Like what you said about sort of disturbing your routine. I do the same thing. You know, there's one day that like I kind of woke up and I was like, I can't just every morning wake up, turn the computer on, have my coffee. Like that can't just be my morning every morning. So then I just stop doing that sometimes, and sometimes I just wake up, have coffee, kind of sit and rest, you know, take it all in, and then like write in a diary. Like I started a diary, things like that, or you know, just trying other things. Like I signed up for volunteering, which I'm going to do tomorrow. Actually, I've never done volunteering before, and I'm kind of excited about it because it's like a feel good thing. It's like helping people and stuff. But I also kind of just want to learn and challenge myself and all the things that you touched on before, and yeah, like again with what you were saying, just about in general, just challenging what people's expectations of you are and stuff. Like I don't know when I changed my mindset, but like I kind of just have this mindset now of like, you just do what you want. You know what I mean? Like you just, if you want to do something, just do it. And like,
100%, I agree with you.
right. But, and
100%.
like
And
put
it's
the
easy
work
to
in
say
as
that as
well.
well, but like Christian, and you do this brilliantly, but just keep trying, keep
Yeah.
trying new things, keep like building on yourself. Like you're doing a great job. You're one of the only people who I know, like you don't give a fuck. Like I know you don't. So, and it's not even about that. Like you're actively trying to do something that not a lot of people can do. Like it's a difficult thing, and sometimes you say oh I'm losing subscriber, or what do you want me to
Well,
talk about on the podcast and stuff, and I'm
see,
not
okay.
saying
Can I just
listen,
stop you
you don't
there?
let it get to you. No, listen,
I don't.
you don't let it get to you, but I just want to say you're doing a great job with everything you're doing. I'm
Thank you
not
so
digging on
much.
you. I know you
No, I
haven't
know.
said
I
that
know.
stuff in a while, but I'm just saying you're doing a good job,
No,
and sometimes you need people to say that.
the reason I wanted to say something back to it is that because I know in the past you're 100% right. Like I've complained, I've said this, I've said that. You've pointed it out to me, and it took me a long time to like actually take it on board and like take it in. But recently, with the things like, for instance, asking people like, "What do you want to hear about?" That's genuinely me just saying like, "Hey, what do people want to hear?" And I quickly learned after not getting some responses that it's just we're not quite at that level yet. And I didn't take it bad. Like I would have, like if this was 6 months ago, I would have taken it badly. I would have been like, oh shit. But now I'm like, okay, we move, we keep trying, we keep doing things.
Exactly. And
And
and you know what, you're a better person now because you made that mistake in the past. You know what I mean? You've
100%.
improved on your mindset towards that. Like the situation might not be any different. Like obviously sometimes you don't get a suggestion, or something doesn't go as well as you expected it to. Like nothing has we've both progressed, but some things just haven't changed. But it's just the way you thought about it. It's almost turned
Yeah,
into a positive rather than a negative, really.
absolutely. I couldn't agree more. Like, I think your thing that you always try to bang into my head, and this is the last thing I'm going to say about me, by the way, because we're bringing this back to you because it's about you, is that like, you always said like, don't focus on the numbers, you focus on the comments. Like you've always said about your mentality with YouTube is, I care about the comments. I care about who's saying what. I like to reply to them. And I have that same mindset now. I don't focus on the numbers anymore. I'm looking at what people saying, who's returning, who keeps replying, when those people are replying, what are they saying? Trying to maintain relations with them, trying to gauge what they think and stuff, and ultimately just see if they're enjoying it. But like, I don't, on the flip side of that, I don't worry either. Like, I've had some like some funny, like I just take it in my stride now. Like I've had some hate comments which are kind of funny, to be honest, but I take them seriously. Like there's some people that have said, I think I had one podcast where they said like, oh, why didn't this guy like shut the up, like let the person speak? And I sat down and I was like, was it like that? I had to go back and like listen to, but it was important. It was like even though it wasn't, in a constructive manner, there was still something in there that was useful. And I think that that's the trouble. A lot of people don't focus on like, well, what can I gain from this? Like, what can I learn from this? What can I do differently? How can I better myself and what I do? That's where the mentality has to be. But as you said, you have to make mistakes to get there. And you got to develop a positive attitude, I think. And a lot of people are
Exactly.
afraid to put the work in as well. Like when I saw like how much work goes into, for instance, doing the podcast, I'm not going to lie. In the beginning, I got a bit lazy. Like, for instance, I knew like I would need to make clips, and I should have done that from the beginning. But I was like, I kind of can't be bothered. And then I realized, like, look, if I don't do it, if I'm not prepared to put in the effort, then why am I doing this? And then it changes. So it's, yeah, I agree with what you said, like, completely. But anyway, let's bring it back to you. What are your sources, main sources of inspiration? Or sorry, who are your main sources of inspiration? Like, either in the sneaker community or just YouTubers in general. Like, who are you looking at and saying, okay, this guy, that girl, whoever is, inspired me to do what I do?
Okay. Wow, that's a difficult question. First off, um, I think with anything, it's important to sort of take lots of different things from a lot of different people rather than just imitate or
Right.
even
Yeah.
just in the way you live your life. Like, don't listen to just one person. Look at the wider picture and then make up your own mind for yourself. Put your positive spin on it, put your personal spin on it, and then see where it goes from there. So just from like a sneaker point of view, I'd say my inspiration has probably changed a lot. Like, first off, it was a lot of just like basic, sneaker YouTubers and just some people that said this is what's coming out now and stuff. But now, I don't really watch that kind of stuff anymore. Like, I don't really,
Oh, okay.
they're not there. It's not really what I look at. Hang on, all right, I've got YouTube open right now. Let me see what's on my YouTube. I'm struggling with this, man. I'm struggling with this. So
Hey, no, it's fine. Take your time. It's cool.
it's a
I,
lot of podcasts, to be honest. Like, I don't,
right.
yeah, it's a lot of podcasts. I don't watch much YouTube, to be honest. I would say, like,
Mm,
Joe Rogan, obviously.
yeah. Yeah.
Mm, yeah. And also this guy, just for like a basic sort of lifestyle sort of inspiration, I would say this guy called David Goggins. Have you heard of David Goggins?
No, I haven't. I'll write that down. David Goggins.
David Goggins. Look up this guy. He is crazy. He is crazy. If there's anyone that you want to sort of have, a conversation with, it's this guy, David Goggins. He's been on Joe Rogan. He's written some books and stuff. His story is that he started off, really lazy, really, he was
Mm,
very overweight and stuff, and he ended up being in the Navy SEALs, I believe, or some kind of position like that. He was, extreme training. He's not even a fitness freak, but he's a lifestyle freak. Like, he's all about the mental. He's all about, pushing yourself and stuff. And if you look at some of his stuff, you'll probably hear a lot of things that I've subconsciously just sort of
yeah.
picked up and said to you. Like, it's contagious, like this guy's energy and everything. So definitely him. Who else? What other aspects are we talking about? So yeah,
Could
no,
be
I don't.
anything, to be
Yeah.
honest. There's no I mean, anything that just drives you as a person, or anyone that drives you and what you do.
Yeah. Well, I mean, just from sort of like a come on, let's get this going. Like, seeing you, like how much you do. I'm obviously in your Discord, and every like few hours I'm getting like an at everyone. He's
I'm
he's done
sorry.
it again, boys. He's
I'm
done
so
it.
sorry.
No. I'm saying, like, that's like that's inspiration. Like,
Okay.
if I'm just chilling there, I should be doing something, and I see that pop up. I'm like, whoa, the
Oh,
competition,
right.
he's moving. You know what I'm saying? Like,
I
so
get it. I get
yeah,
it.
just that, like, your work ethic especially, and like when I sort of drop in on some of the stuff that you do and everything, like, I really like the stuff that you've been doing with Deals. Like I said to you as well, I'm happy that he's got the young little kid shut up, you don't know anything treatment now. um
You know, I was joking, right?
no, of course, yeah, no, of
Right.
course,
Good. I hope that.
yeah.
That was the only reason that I got away with that in TCJ was because Aaron was a lot older than me, as well, not a lot older, but he was. I think he's like early 30s or something, and I'm like 27 or something. So it's like I could get away with calling you the child, even though technically,
Yeah.
you know. but whatever.
Yeah. Oh, I feel like I've answered this question really badly. I feel like I've missed some people or something, or missed something really obvious.
I mean, the general gist of what I'm gathering from what you're saying is that like you've kind of changed the type of content that you consume, and that's obviously changed like excuse me, like your influences and who you're inspired by. So that makes perfect sense to me. Like I've got plenty of stuff that I subscribe to as well. Like I did the same thing. I unsubscribed from a bunch of stuff. There are still things I love to consume, like I don't know, Sidemen or something like that, But I look at that as like just entertainment, and like it doesn't like give me anything. Like maybe now and again there'll be something they do that I'm like, oh cool. Like when I saw them all playing like Among Us, for instance, I was like, oh cool, I'll play that. Like it actually looks like fun. But other than that, it doesn't
mm,
give you anything necessarily that's like you can use and be like to better yourself. Whereas the people you're talking about, like this David Goggins guy, like they're inspiring people who've sort of taken their life from one situation and kind of pushed themselves to a more positive position. And like I've been looking at similar people as well, and it's fine if you don't have names. Like for me, it's when I ask questions like that, it's more to just gauge the person's mindset of like what inspires them, because a lot of the time when
yeah.
you ask someone like who their inspirations are, it's like you said, you're never basing everything you do on, like, you don't want to just copy someone else, do you? Ultimately, you want to
Mm,
like
yeah.
get some stuff that inspires you, and then you find your own thing. So like for instance, me, obviously when I started this, I thought of Joe Rogan. I like his format. I also thought of this guy. Do you know Saab Powers? Do you remember that guy, the comedian guy?
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
So he started doing like comedy, or he's a comedian, sorry, and he randomly decided to just do a podcast on his YouTube, and he invited me one time, but then he continued it, and he's still going with it. And I just really liked the format of what he was doing. And I thought, oh, maybe I can do this. Obviously, I'll do my own spin on it. I'll do it my way. And then I realized, like, actually, what I do is very different from what he does. Um,
Mm,
but like the point is, it was like a starting point. It was like, okay, I want to be like these guys, but I want to do it like my way. And it sounds like that's kind of what you're doing as well. It's like you're saying, okay, inspired by this, but then I'm doing it the Childish Jacko way, kind of thing.
yeah. Yeah. No, you definitely summed up great by saying sort of like the some things are just for entertainment, and then some are sort of genuine inspirations to you. Yeah, with the David Goggins guy, I'd say more like he's not so much a content creator, but just his story sort of
Right.
put a lot of things into perspective for me and stuff, and probably pushed me to try a little bit more on the taekwondo and everything, and opened up a few more doors for me there. But yeah, in terms of content, just watch a bunch of people basically, and then sort of I wouldn't say there's one that really influences exactly what I didn't look at someone and say I'm going to do my version of that. It was more of just I've started it a year and a half ago now, and
Mm.
it's sort of just developed from there. And I think from what I can see, I think most of the stuff I do is quite unique. I can't really think of many people that are like doing stuff like me, I'd say. So
I've never seen anyone do the stuff that you do, and I'm not trying to kiss your ass there. Like genuinely, I think it's very unique.
mm,
When I think of like originally when I first heard of like sneakerheads, to me it just looked like a flex thing. Like if I'm being honest,
mm.
like that's
Yeah,
and I'm not
I've
saying that's
never had any interest in
right,
doing that.
right,
Like,
right, right. But
so,
that's the thing. When I came across your channel, like when we first met and you sent me your channel, I'm like, oh, is he going to be like one of those guys, right? But then I started watching the videos, and I realized like you weren't like that at all, and it was interesting, and I learned a lot from the way that you do your videos. Like I think they're very informative, and they kind of give you a good understanding. Like even if you know next to nothing about trainers, which is where I was when I started watching your videos, I learned through you. And I think that's a really good thing about your videos is they're like educational, but they're you never like you give your opinion. You don't like, and but you're not afraid to like call something trash or something, and like, you know, kind
Mm.
of, you just, I don't know. I think it's fun. I think it's interesting. And this kind of leads me
I
into,
always,
go on.
sorry, I was just gonna say, I always make sure sort of alienate anyone. So
Yeah, yeah,
if I am sort of like going in on something that I don't like, I always, even if it's in a joking way, I say, you know, all the power to you if you like this. You know, that's great. You go over there in the corner and have fun, but I'm gonna say, well, I don't like this. So I never say like, I never personally attack anyone and say you are stupid if you like this product or whatever. But also another few things I just thought of just there, said about oh, you sort of saw and you thought, oh, is this guy just going to flex, or is he like, what sort of guy is this guy? And
yeah,
obviously that's great that you sort of had that thought process and were assessing whether I was someone to sort of contact or whatever. But I'd say um, in terms of like branding and standing out, I'd say one thing that's helped me is obviously being from the UK. It's
mm,
it's unique to do this and be in the UK. And another thing is one bit of feedback, positive feedback that I'd say I've got from a lot of people, a lot of different people, is just having an actual, like, they can tell that there's an actual passion for what I'm talking about rather than
right.
just doing it because I want to look cool or because I'm
Mm,
making money off it or something. So I would definitely just not making it about me, but just saying to anyone that's listening, like, to learn from that, find something that makes you unique, whether it's, you know, your location, your certain point of view and stuff, and then also make sure that what you are talking about is something that you really love, because people can tell. And that wasn't even
yeah.
an intention of mine to make it seem that way. I wasn't like actively saying I love this, I love this. Like, the guys just knew that that was what was up. So definitely a couple of things to keep in mind, like when you're sort of starting stuff like this, I'd say.
Um, just a left field question here, because we were talking about podcasting earlier. Do you think you would ever get back into podcasting? And like, if so, would you consider doing, you know, like a sneaker podcast or something like that, where you talk? Because I remember one of the things that you said. Obviously, I'm reiterating what was said before, was that you wanted to focus on, you know, your stuff, your niche. That's where your mind is always at, is doing this. But you're not afraid to try different things, and you are. And we'll get into some of the newer things you've been doing recently. But I was just curious about this podcasting thing, because I think that you definitely have a talent for that. You know, even before we were doing podcasts together, you reached out to me one time and we did like a little mini podcast style thing, if you
Mm,
remember.
yeah.
You know, so it's there. It's like something in your mind, and I'm just wondering, like, have you never considered that for sneakers, or is that something you would do, or is that even in on your list of like maybes, or what's the deal there?
Um, I, in terms of what I actually consume, like the content I consume, I'd say it is mostly made up of podcasts. So it's
Right.
definitely something that I'd always be open to sort of getting back into. But
Mm.
um, I just feel like I don't know if this translates, like Christian, like man to man right now. Like, am I doing a good job? Because
Of course.
when I don't remember anything I've said today. Like, it's obviously all been it's been fully truthful and stuff. And you
Yes.
know, I've tried my best to stay on track, but I feel like I'm all over the place. I don't think that like this is something I can do.
For sure, it's
First
something
off,
you can do. I mean, you said it best earlier when you were saying, like, you know, like just going for things, just challenging yourself and stuff like that. You can do anything. Like, I know it's a cliche to say as much, but it is the reality. If you want to do something, you'll do it, and you'll find a way to do it, and you'll do it your way. So if
so
it's
am I doing a good job? Am I doing a good job today?
absolutely, yes, this has
Okay,
been
then
fantastic.
I'll consider it then. No, yeah. So yeah, the answer to your question is yes. Obviously, I would.
Hmm.
Yeah, that's obviously something that I'd be open to. Whether it was be about sneakers or not, I'm not too sure. Like,
Okay.
um, obviously with the jiu-jitsu sort of you know, discussion that I had, that, you know,
Mm.
the 20-minute podcast kind of thing,
Yeah.
would that be something that I'd be more interested in doing? Maybe.
Okay.
It just depends where. It just depends sort of where, my life takes me and stuff, and
Okay.
what my interests are. I don't. While I do like sneakers, like I don't think I could talk like on a regular basis for hours about like the sneakers that are upcoming, because then I feel like I'd fall into the trap of what I said obviously I didn't want to do, which is like just being a robot and saying this Jordan is coming out here and stuff like this. Like I'd feel like I would fall into that trap, whereas like if I keep that kind of stuff to like a shorter sort of format with what I normally do, I feel like within that I can be more creative with like how I say it. Like I always sometimes I'm standing up on this chair, sometimes I'm running around and playing a little character, or like I want to make that sort of aspect to it as fun as possible. But
Yeah.
when it comes to like sort of longer stuff, probably more to do with like yeah, maybe martial arts or something, or fitness. Like I'm planning on having a conversation like we are right now, because one of my friends, I have a friend that's currently doing MMA. Like he's got like a
Aye, nice.
charity match coming up or something next
Okay.
year. So I'm thinking of having sort of like a conversation with him, that will obviously be like a longer sort of format. So that will maybe open up a door. Also, another friend that's starting MMA, which I want to talk to about that as well. So I know that the door's always open. I've thought many times about asking like, do you and Aaron want to do like a little reunion or something one day? I think that'd be quite cool.
I would always
But
be open to that, by the way. I think because the one cool thing, I'll just say on a side note about that I loved about TCJ was that it was all real, just genuine chemistry. And that's why I loved doing it. And why I was so bummed when it ended, because it's so hard to find that kind of chemistry with people, I find, because you can't force that. Like either you just have chemistry with someone or a group of people, or you don't. And if you
yeah,
don't,
yeah.
it sucks. You can't make it good.
Mm,
It just sucks. So yeah, I'd definitely be open to
yeah.
that. But yeah, anyway.
Yeah, in terms of like starting something on a weekly basis, I'd probably say no at the moment, but
Mm,
I'm definitely going to like look into sort of doing longer form sort of you know like you saw today,
yeah.
and obviously with those like other people that I sort of I'm in contact with as well. I feel like I could have some useful conversations with myself and with other people. So when I feel like that is necessary, I will do it, but it's definitely
Okay.
not something that I'm gonna like do on a very
Fair
very
enough.
regular basis. So yeah.
Well, the reason
Yeah.
that I had this question initially was because you very recently, within the last week or so, released this video of a sneaker cooking show. You titled it like "First Ever Sneaker Cooking Show," and I was like, "Okay, I'm interested in this. What's he done here?" And it was really cool. I loved it because there were so many things. Like one thing we haven't talked about actually is the fact that you're excellent at editing, which was one of the reasons why you were like the
Thank you.
principal editor for our podcast, was because you're just so sick at that. And like many of your earlier videos like had a lot of that like OP kind of editing stuff. And I always just that to me was such a big uh positive about your videos, right? And like it makes sense now because you said that obviously you have this interest in it and it stems from like many years ago and stuff, so that kind of will make sense to me now. But when you did this show, it had like different camera angles and stuff that you used. Obviously, you got like new camera and stuff, so you're experimenting with that. And also just the vibe of like, you're cooking and stuff. And it's like a genuine cooking show. Like you're talking about sneakers and stuff, and you're making all this stuff, and you're talking about fitness and stuff. And it's all like these elements that work, and you can tell that you're very comfortable while you're doing it. And I'm like, what are the plans with this? Is this going to be a regular thing? Because I can see like guests on this. I could see so many possibilities with this. Like I was just sitting there like excited. I was like, oh my God, like what's he going to do with this? Talk to us about this.
Wow. Okay. Yeah, you pretty much took the words out of my mouth. Like,
Okay.
obviously it was just a little idea that I just thought of. Like, there was a few things I wanted to talk about. I wanted to sort of transition the conversation from, um, you know, only sneakers to maybe a little bit of health and fitness, a little bit of martial arts training and stuff, which obviously you've seen in follow-ups that has happened. So that was sort of the main function of that, is just that I wanted to sort of have a thing where I could branch everything together. But with the format, that is something that I want to carry on doing. You pretty much took the words right out of my mouth. I know it was quite a basic sort of I don't know, like it obviously the cooking aspect to it was sort of like a background element to start off with, but I can definitely see like in the future maybe trying something a bit more experimental, maybe more of like a focus on that aspect as well as talking. And yeah, I've even thought about, like, I've got some friends that all live in like a house together. I've thought about like doing it with like a group of people, and setting up like a good like 3 or 4 camera angles and stuff, and seeing like if anything happens there. But that's what I mean, is that like, as much as I enjoy like sitting and just having a chat and stuff, I want to be creative and everything. So I know I can do both things at once. So I just want to make sure I get a right balance. But that's really good that you you enjoyed that. It's good to hear, and I've had some good feedback about that. So yeah, no, it is something that I'm looking to continue. But yeah, hopefully sort of developing it over time as well. Get a little theme tune maybe.
Absolutely, yeah.
Make a little show. And also I really wanted to, even though the sort of cooking aspect wasn't like at the forefront, I really wanted to sort of bring that vibe. I hate using the word vibe, but I use it now. Sort of the cooking show. I wanted to make sure that like it had the cooking show vibe. I wanted it to be like familiar as well as like really like what is going on. But I really wanted it to be like, like how you see on daytime TV and stuff, they have like I'm chefing up this and everything, and look, you want your lettuce and cut it like this. I really wanted it to feel like that, but
it did.
Also be
That's
very
the thing.
like foreign as well.
It did. It felt like that, but it was cool.
Yeah.
Because the problem with those daytime shows is like, it's like a
Mm.
man going nuts over lettuce, and it's like, mate, come on, it's lettuce.
Yeah, I wanted to sort of play into that, but also make fun of it at the same time. So
it was,
I'm glad that
it was good.
translated, and I did put a lot of thought into like sort of not what I was going to say, but sort of like the vibe and the angles and stuff. I wanted to make sure I got those right. So it's good news to hear they paid off.
Can't wait to see more.
Yeah.
Speaking of which, do you have plans to create content that differs from your sneaker content? Obviously, you mentioned the stuff about the martial arts and stuff like that, so we know that there's going to be some other stuff. But outside of that, you've always been a very creative person. You're always kind of up for trying new things. Is that like, are we beginning to see, is your channel going to open up now, or are we always going to stick to that, sneakers focused thing? I'm just curious from that angle.
Yeah, like I said, I'd say that even though it was the sneaker cooking show, I think from that point, I'd say it probably marks sort of like a different new phase, let's call it, a new
phase 2.
phase 2. Like we're going to be trying a lot of new things, hopefully, and things following that are going to give you good examples of what's to come. Am I moving away from sneakers? No, not at all. But
of course not. No.
we're going to be taking it up a notch. Let's just say that, and just trying a lot of different things, which I'm hoping. Hopefully, I'll be able to work with you at some point again. And some other people. Obviously, I mentioned that before, but we're moving into like, we're moving into an interesting time. I'd say, exciting and interesting.
This is exciting. It's good stuff, man. Good stuff. Okay. Outside of YouTube, is there anything you sort of want to get into in terms of the sneaker scene, or maybe just other areas of life? So, forgetting everything we've covered today, like, is there just anything else, maybe, or I don't know, anything else you'd like to try?
I not at the moment. Obviously, leading up to the time when I'm doing my taekwondo sort of trial thing, pretty much all my spare time is going to be working towards that.
Right.
So, and I've obviously got some other like academic stuff to do towards my coursework and sort of
Okay.
apprenticeship and stuff. So, at the moment, I think my plate's full enough.
Yeah.
And then I'm gonna look at from there, pretty much reassess next year probably. But at the moment, pretty much what I've mentioned today is what I'm working on. Yeah.
It's a busy man. Busy man.
Yeah.
It's good. It's good to be busy. I love being busy. I think it's good. It's good for the soul. If you're working, you've got a purpose. It's good. Yeah, bringing everything to a close today. Do you have any? I think your sense where you're going to, but do you have any upcoming projects, videos, or any final thoughts that you'd like to share with us?
Any upcoming things? No, I think I've given, some good hints, I'd say. Just look out for any. You'll definitely see some like longer sort of style things coming soon, but I'm obviously not going to be moving that far away from also doing like the 3 or 4 minute crazy sneaker shouting about, oh, I hate this and stuff. You're still going to see that, but there's going to be developments into different areas, and with the cooking and the sort of podcast style
Yeah,
stuff as
yeah.
well. But other than that, not really anything else to be sort of looking out for. Just obviously support my man Christian. Hopefully, get in that Discord. It helps everyone if everyone's in there. Um, what else? Just I hope that, like, I don't know. I'm a bit weird. I don't like talking about myself too much. So I just want everyone who's watched this just to understand that don't look at this as me talking about myself. Please learn something. Learn from my mistakes. Learn from my man Christian. And I hope this has helped someone, even if it's one person, to better themselves or go out and do something, because life's too short. Like with what I was dealing with, like this year, I've dealt with I've dealt with some losses, some people. I've had family in hospital. I've dealt with losses in every sense of the word, and it sort of broke me down and made me assess my purpose. What do I want to do and stuff, and it really showed me, if anything. And even if, like, skip to this point, if you don't watch any of this, skip to this point. Like, just it's too short. Life's too short. Like, you just got to give everything 100%. So hopefully, even if I blabbed on a bit about jiu-jitsu that you might not care about, or taekwondo or sneakers or something, just know that, like, I'm out here, I'm work harder than me, do more than me, please. Like, I'll push all of you, just to try your best. Thank you for listening, and yeah, thanks for having me, Christian.
Hey, listen, it's been an absolute pleasure. Like, thank you so much for agreeing to be on the podcast. As I said, I've been trying to get you on here for ages, so I'm happy that
Yeah,
it's
sorry
finally
it's taken
happened.
so long.
No, it's been a pleasure. And I couldn't recommend everyone listening to this, whether it's YouTube, Spotify, Apple Podcasts, wherever, please go and subscribe to Childish Jacko. He's a fantastic content creator. Really, really makes impressive stuff. And I think the biggest thing about you is that you're really passionate with everything that you do. And that's always been the thing that I've always really kind of admired about you. And I think that anyone that's not familiar with you should definitely check you out. Because like I said, I didn't have a vested interest in you when I first met you, because I sort of saw what you were doing. It's in the same way that if I see like a gamer YouTuber, I'm not, do you know what I mean? If I see like they have
Yeah,
Fortnite stuff, it's like, it's not for me. But sometimes if you just take a risk on someone, you'd be very surprised. And that was the case when I first saw your content. And I think that everyone should be going out there and giving you a shot and checking your stuff out, because it's excellent. So yeah. And so thank you very much for appearing on the show. And as I always say, if you'd like to appear on the Christian Reeve podcast, please get in touch. I now have, let's see, a Reddit for the podcast. We've got an Instagram, a Twitter for the podcast, a Discord server for the podcast. There's no excuses now. If you want to be on the show, get in touch with me, either on those platforms or with me personally. I would love to have you on there. We're starting to feature businesses and stuff on the podcast now. So I don't know if you have like a startup or you're starting your own project, get in touch with me. I would love to hear from you. I'd love to showcase your work, whoever you are, whatever you do, or even if it's just, that you would like something in particular that you'd like to hear us discuss on the podcast, let me know. And thank you as always for listening. And until next time, peace out, one love. See you in the next one.